A computer virus has built armies of robotic soldiers and taken control of our world. But there's still one place we can be safe: the Dome City of Corinth. The only hope we have left are Power Rangers RPM. Get in gear! Hey, Wolfpack, Cat's back with another surprise tier list. This time we're going to be doing Power Rangers RPM. This is the first time I've ever seen this show, so it's going to be pretty much fresh eyes. I just recently binged it. Sorry, checking my mic, making sure you guys can hear me. Yep, I finally watched Power Rangers RPM after several people telling me how RPM is so good, it's the real last great Power Ranger show, how Venjix is one of the scariest villains. I finally decided to check it out. I watched RPM very recently. I binged it. It's currently on YouTube. All of the Saban and Disney era shows are up on YouTube. I think the Nickelodeon ones are the only ones that aren't, but yeah. Get in gear! Hey, Jace G, glad to see you. Sorry, I was waiting for people to show up. Got a much smaller tier list this time. I got all the characters who matter. This one did not have most of the one-shot characters, since I thought people would rather listen in on the core cast and all the important players. So, Power Rangers RPM was the final Power Rangers season ever. And then it came back because it did good numbers. Yeah, this was technically the finale for the Disney-era Rangers. So after Saban sold the rights to Power Rangers to the Disney company, they owned Power Rangers for a while, had some great shows and some not-so-great shows. Overdrive. But RPM was the grand finale for Disney era of Power Rangers and possibly the end of the franchise as a whole, and exactly like Power Rangers in Space, it did so good that it actually saved the franchise. So, this is my first time ever watching RPM. I actually recently binge watched the show, so of course I could bring you this tier list. A lot of people tell me RPM is good, and I would like to apologize for saying Power Rangers SPD was the last good Ranger show, because I was totally wrong. RPM kicked ass. It was awesome. It was a great show. I was surprised at how good it was, and a far cry from Operation Overdrive, Jungle Fury, and even Dino Thunder. Dino Thunder had a lot more lightheartedness, but this show, balls to the wall, dead serious final season again, just like In Space was. Of course, there's that typical Ranger and child-friendly humor here and there, but I would honestly say it's a lot more mature than most of the recent Ranger shows, definitely gearing towards more older kids again. I'd wake up at 5 a.m. on Saturday mornings during university to watch this season. It was very well done. Absolutely. So, if you don't know, Power Rangers RPM is the Terminator show. It is the Rangers in a post-apocalyptic wasteland where Skynet, aka Venjix, destroyed the entire Earth. So, in a surprisingly dark premise, humanity is pretty much an endangered species. The villain, Venjix, has actually won. He's taken over. Venjix was a super duper program. He was a virus that was built by Dr. K. However, the virus turned against humanity and started genociding all life around the globe. One city is left, the Dome City of Corinth. It's basically this safe zone of humans trying to rebuild society, but living under a glass dome like The Simpsons, and they're basically kept safe from Venjix's forces. However, of course, the machines won't let humanity live. They want them all dead, and to turn the Earth into a machine world, a machine kingdom, ran by Venjix because the machines are superior, the dominant race, and it's pretty much Terminator. Venjix is Skynet. All his forces are evil, high-tech machines, like the Terminator bots. The fans jokingly call this the Power Ranger Chronicles, a joke at Terminator. What made the show different than the other Power Rangers, as the title of each episode is one word? Yeah, I started to pick up on that. I think there was one that had 3 words. Like, isn't the last one called Day of Destiny? Yeah, RPM. I still don't remember what RPM stands for, but RPM After the abomination known as Turbo, the Power Rangers never quite picked back up doing Vehicle Rangers again. When I say vehicle, I mean cars, like cars, planes, transportation vehicles, not the animals that can turn into vehicles. Then RPM finally did it, and they actually did it right. They actually made cool Vehicle Rangers. RPM, they're car rangers. They have cars, they have jets, they have like wheels on their arms and legs that rev them up faster and giving them super speed. The RPM Rangers, honestly pretty badass team, not gonna lie. I was absolutely surprised at how good this show was. It was dark, it was mature, it actually did have lighthearted funny moments, and it did take a lot out of Power Rangers in Space's number page, but yeah, it turned out to be very good. Venjix is the main villain, this guy right here. We have his alternate forms down here too. Gonna be ranking all the characters from the RPM show, listing them on this tier list from best to worst. So I'll explain it quickly if this is your first ever tier list you're watching. So gonna take all these characters down here, the core cast and key players of the show, and put them on this ranking list, top from best to the bottom, the worst. Up top, we have S. These are 10 out of 10s. They're the perfect characters. They're the characters you most associate with the show, the icons, the ones who made Power Rangers history. RPM stands for Racing Performance Machines. Okay, I thought the P stand for power, but yeah. Okay, Racing Performance Machines. Then we have A. These ones, awesome. Far from perfect, but definitely did their job, or definitely kick ass. They were great characters of the RPM cast. So we'll list them down here on A because they were good but not great. Then we have B. These ones, alright, basic. They're fun, they did their job, they were fine on their own, but nothing you'll go home bragging about. Then we have C. These ones, mid, mediocre, the average. The ones that are okay. We'll be seeing some of the characters down here who didn't matter, like the civilian characters, but basically, you get the idea. They're okay, nothing special, but also nothing god-awful either. Unlike D, these are duds, weak, the lame ducks, the ones that had hope and could have amounted to something good but didn't quite make it. They're the ones you'll probably forget about. And at rock bottom, we have F, the failures, the bad ones, the 0 out of 10s. We might be seeing one or two characters down here, but considering how great RPM is, I wouldn't hold my breath. So yeah, RPM, it was a good show. They're fighting the machines. It is pretty much a Terminator Power Ranger show. Venjix is the Skynet. He's destroyed the Earth. A lot of people tell me they really love Venjix as a villain. I watched to see how scary Venjix really was, but ended up staying to see Tenaya, because Tenaya should be 10 out of 10 since she's perfect. But yeah, I saw Venjix. I saw what people praised about him, saw how good the show was. I will say, it was definitely a good show. There's only like really 2 episodes I didn't like. One was the behind the scenes one. That one was kind of slow, and of course the other is a clip show. I just got really sick and tired of seeing Power Ranger clip shows. Binging all these series, I'm kind of surprised how there's always one in these shows. Very glad streaming finally kicked those. But yeah, RPM, the Rangers are a resistance group. They're working for Dr. K, who's their mentor in this show. Dr. K created the Venjix virus, and she invented her RPM Rangers to combat this virus and save humanity. We have our core 5 Rangers meet 2 6th Rangers this time. They're fighting the evil machines. The machines send in evil monsters of the week to breach the Dome City, try to kill the last remnants of humanity, and the Rangers are doing everything they can to solve mysteries and defeat the Venjix virus. You get the basic idea, good versus evil, typical Ranger stuff. But yeah, got all the important characters this time, no monsters of the week, because I occasionally forgot some of them since, well, they're kind of one and done type of characters, one-shots. So I have all the characters I actually recognize and actually played a part in the story. So let's finally do it and start this race. Get in gear. Let's do this with our Red Ranger, Scott. Scott actually might be going into S. Yep, we're finally back with good Red Rangers. So, after SPD really disappointed me with Jack getting his character arc anticlimatically rushed through in the finale. We got Jack, who is pretty. No, sorry, we got Scott. Scott is a better version of Jack. That's what I wanted to say. Really like Scott. He is a cool Red Ranger. So, this might surprise some people, but the Red Ranger, for once, is not the main character in the show again. They give more focus on Dylan. Dylan and Tenaya 7 are more so the real protagonists, but Scott, pretty cool Red Ranger. Not surprising that the Red Ranger would be S. Yeah, Red Rangers, they're usually the coolest ones, and I really liked Scott. Scott is kind of the Cyclops to Dylan's Wolverine. He's the straight-laced leader, the by-the-book cop, the one who wants to do good. He has a heart of gold. He wants to be a hero, and is the Ranger who has daddy issues. His dad, Colonel Truman down here, his dad is pretty much the Captain Mitchell of the team. However, he's also kind of Mr. Collins. He and his son have a very stressed relationship. Basically, his cooler older brother died, and Scott is trying to fill his dead brother Marcus's shoes, trying to impress his dad. And he kind of struggles with that all throughout. His dad doesn't show him any respect, does not give him recognition. He actually gave a Medal of Honor to one of his friends. Jem got the medal, and his own son was kind of blown off completely, which understandably pissed. Yeah, so Scott, really cool guy. I liked him. He's mostly straightforward as a character. However, he's the one who has daddy issues. He's trying to impress his dad, and he and Dylan do not get along. Dylan is the Wolverine to his Cyclops, which, hilarious, he's named Scott, just like Cyclops. So yeah, he and Dylan initially do not get along. They butt heads. Over the course of the series, the two eventually become total bros. It is a nice character arc moment. We do see Dylan and Scott eventually gaining an understanding and respect for each other. They're initially rivals. They're always racing their cars, always trying to show off who's better, always trying to prove who's better in combat. Scott thinks Dylan is bad for the group because he's putting his personal feelings and his mission to find his missing sister ahead of, his Ranger responsibilities. Scott has a point, but he also starts to understand him. They start to lean back. They start to become best friends. Really liked his character arc. His highlight episode, I think, is easily his origin story and the one where he finally gains his dad's respect because, of course, that fulfills his character arc. So, Scott basically was a pilot. He was a part of the Air Force. He served his dad. His dad is the leader of the Biodome community. His father does not respect him. He's doing all he can to be a hero. Scott is very selfless and actually nice, but his dad doesn't give him the recognition or love he deserves, and it's implied that his dad is still grieving over his big brother. His big brother, Marcus down here. Marcus and he were total bros. They were Air Force pilots together. However, Marcus ended up dying in the attack against the Venjix virus, and both Scott and his dad have been grieving for him ever since, and Scott has been trying to fill the void, and he's always compared to his brother. I would describe their relationship as kind of like Leo and Mike from Lost Galaxy. Yeah, Mike, the older brother who was the ace, he was better at everything. Same with Marcus. He was the ace, he was better at everything. He was the true badass hero of the family. Unfortunately, he lost his life fighting against the Venjix virus in an air battle. So, Scott has been trying to fill that void, trying to prove to his dad that he's a worthy hero just like him, trying to prove that he is not that stupid kid anymore who always got in trouble, who didn't do his job very well. He eventually gets recruited for Dr. Kat's RPM Rangers. Sorry, Dr. Kat is gonna mix that up. Dr. K. Yeah, Dr. K recruits him because he's a badass soldier, and he becomes the leader of the RPM Rangers. It's initially him, Flynn, and Summer. Then they later recruit Dylan and Ziggy into the fold and become a classic loving ragtag bunch of misfits like in every Power Rangers show. So, Scott eventually resolves his character arc in the episode where he runs away because he's pissed off his dad gave a Medal of Honor to Jem when he and Jem both kind of saved the day. He saves some refugees and proves that he is a competent leader. The refugees praise Scott for saving them, that without Scott they would have been dead, they never would have made it. And his dad finally recognizes his son as a true badass hero, gives him his medal, and in a surprisingly mature moment, Scott declines the medal, says he doesn't need a Medal of Honor to prove he's a hero because it was kind of his fault. He was reckless. He ran away and kind of stumbled upon saving the day. And Scott says to his dad that he'll get the medal when he actually earns it. And this finally earns his dad's respect. And they both are loving and caring for each other until the end of the series. Then in the grand finale, after they defeat the Venjix virus, Scott sort of becomes arch enemies with General Shifter down here, which I did feel was kind of a bit weak since General Shifter kind of did nothing until the final 10 episodes. So, General Shifter fights Scott. He nearly gets brainwashed into killing his other Rangers by him thanks to his hacking abilities. However, they sort of give Scott a rivalry with General Shifter. He and Shifter finally face off when Shifter tries to steal the Dome City for himself, and Scott gets his revenge by essentially killing him. So yeah, Red Ranger proved he was definitely a worthy leader in that. And in the finale, after they defeat the virus and save the Earth, Scott decides he gets like promoted to a military commander. He, Jem, and Gemma go off and become advanced elite commandos under his dad's military branch. And that is kind of the end of RPM Ranger Scott's arc. Scott also had a love triangle with Summer and Dylan. Summer had trouble choosing between Dylan and Scott because Scott's the nice guy, he's the reliable one, he's troubled but cute, but Dylan's the sexy, suave bad boy, and yeah, again, kind of Wolverine and Cyclops of them. Eventually, Scott kind of lets her go and lets her choose Dylan over him because Dylan's the main character, so of course he was gonna get her. But I would put Scott up on S tier. We got finally another cool Red Ranger again. Despite not being the main character, Scott was really likable, he was charming, he was kick-ass, and he slowly matured over the course of the series. He and Dylan became total friends by the end, and he finally got a satisfying arc earning his dad's respect. So, yeah, we'll put him on S tier. And speaking of which, we should also add our villain. Yeah, we'll talk about him. Let's do Venjix. I was Venjix. Yep, Venjix in his primal form. Also going on to S tier, yeah, of course he is. This is the main big bad of the Power Rangers season this time, the Venjix virus. Venjix was created by Dr. K. She was initially using him as a virus to infect the government's computers because she was being held hostage by this Splinter Cell organization. This company called Alphabet Soup abducted Dr. K and kind of held her against her will, held her prisoner since childhood in their secret facility and profiting off her intelligence. So she created the Venjix virus to hack their computers and basically destroy all their systems, destroy the Alphabet Soup organization, and allow her to escape. However, she was unable to put the safety protocols on the virus to basically have it stop after it destroys the Alphabet Soup's database, destroying their mainframe, destroying their data, destroying their system. And because the guards interfered and prevented her from finishing the virus, it went completely on the loose and it didn't stop there. The Venjix virus was unleashed upon the entire globe. It didn't just destroy the Splinter Cell's computers, it destroyed everyone's computers. Hi, Kat. Hey, Kira, glad you made it. So, RPM, get in gear. Yeah, Venjix becomes Evox. That was a bizarre twist. If you don't know, Venjix is a main villain in 2 Power Ranger shows. He's introduced in RPM, and we're left on a twist that he's not fully gone because Venjix is kind of like Ultron. He downloaded himself into a morpher and he came back in, I believe, Beast Morphers as Evox, a new virus villain, where the twist is he's actually the villain of an old Power Ranger show. He was one of the few serious villains. He had some funny moments. I think him gunning down his own men in anger was pretty humorous at times. Venjix is praised as one of the more creepier villains of Power Rangers, and honestly one of the best of the Disney era. I do put him up there next to Mesogog in terms of badassitude. Venjix is basically Skynet. He's a living sentient virus, he's Skynet, he's Ultron, a robot who wants to take over the world and eliminate all humanity. He declares that humans are beneath the machines, so he starts his machine uprising, and to Venjix's credit, what puts him here on S tier is that he actually succeeds. He succeeds at conquering the Earth and genocided the majority of humanity. 99% of all life on Earth is dead, and it's all thanks to this guy. He created an army of robotic soldiers and took over the world. Of course. Like, if people want Evox versus Ultron in Death Battle. Well, Ultron might win because he can make a physical body. Like, Evox's voice is annoying, like he sounds like he's coughing. Yeah, I am not going to be watching Beast Morphers. I only know of Evox because of all the clips and people talking about how Venjix is back. I did watch it, and yeah, the Nickelodeon and Netflix eras are not very good. I can see why RPM is considered the last Golden Ranger show. Yeah, if you don't know, Venjix, he died in the finale. He enacts his final plan, which is he created Manchurian agents, these half-human, half-robot hybrids. In a twist, it turns out Tenaya 7 and Dylan were both a part of these experiments. Since he decides he can't kill all humans, he decides to assimilate them. He takes slaves, he converts them into basically Borg drones. They're all cyborgs. They're half machine, half human. However, 100% under his control. Tenaya 7 is one of these hybrids, and he gaslights her and uses her as his personal pet project and his second in command. He planted all these hybrid cyborgs under the city of Corinth, and over years he's been trying to set it up and perfect it. This whole time, Tenaya 7 was basically a beta test to see if he can control these agents and if they are actually, you know, fully functional and 100% up to task. So, in the finale, no Beast Morphers, no, yeah, I heard Beast Morphers sucks, okay? And watching a lot of the clips of Evox revealing these Venjix, I have not been convinced to watch that show. Like they made Venjix weak to human DNA. Yeah, because in this show, it's explained he doesn't fully grasp what humans are fully capable of. It's a sign that he underestimates the power of human will. But in Beast Morphers, it's kind of weird. Humanity is like completely his weakness, and he's kind of a psychotic man-child about them. Like he is the Power Rangers version of Ultron, not the swamp monster from Goosebumps. I would more say he's more like Skynet, the Terminator, the machine leader. Skynet, the system that was supposed to help improve humanity's lives that ended up destroying the world. So, Venjix planted all these cyborgs in our human society in Corinth, and he finally activates them. They all spring and usurp the entire humanity, allowing him to just walk right in and take over the Dome City, and he can start destroying the Rangers and all the remaining humans who've escaped his grasp. However, a lot of wacky plots occur, some character arcs are fulfilled, one of his generals turns into a Starscream, and Tenaya 7 is finally cured of her brainwashing. Dr. K made a cure for the robot virus. It can flush out the robotic influence, and Dylan is finally freed. He uses this and he cures Tenaya 15. Tenaya is finally broken and she sabotages his entire systems. As soon as he's about to win, he's fighting the Rangers in his final form. Yeah, speaking of which, he gets two forms down here. Here's Venjix's first body, which I'll give a B. I thought it was alright, but nothing too impressive, and it didn't help that it was the first body he also got destroyed. Then he unlocks his final form down here, the Ultimate Venjix, which, you know, we might put ahead of his mainframe form. So, Venjix gets his final form here, recycled from the remains of his dead General Shifter, turned into his ultimate badass form. I love this Darth Vader, Greek Zeus looking kind of skin. He actually gave himself an evil beard on his body, which is kind of funny. This is Venjix's final form, where he fights the Rangers hand to hand, and Tenaya 15 sabotages his systems, fights General Crunch, Dylan manages to save his sister, and they defeat Venjix by dropping the entire tower onto him. Yeah, really. An entire space-based tower is dropped on top of the dome, and it crushes Venjix's body, killing him for good. Yep, Venjix is dead. Until we reach our twist ending, where after everything's all settled and done, we gain our happy endings and character arc conclusions. But when Dr. K is packing away the morphers, we see one of the morphers has Venjix's logo on it, and they play his theme, or like a remix of it, implying Venjix is not permanently dead. And this character twist would not be resolved until 8 years later on Beast Morphers. What is with scientists trying to advance technology? Well, scientists want to advance humanity's progress, want the next step in scientific evolution, if you will, to make life better. However, at their times, trying to get that and play God only makes things worse. It's a common trope. Andrew Lang voiced him. He played Copy Otter in Dino Thunder, Master Lope in Jungle Fury, and Del-Ex in SPD. And Lord Zed liked to replace his own actor. Okay, he was the new Lord Zed from one of those Netflix shows. Like, Kat, why can't you review Creepshow? Like, is there any problem with the series? Unfortunately, if it's a series only on streaming, I do have trouble getting there, because streaming shows are very protective. And yeah, someone asked me if I'd review X-Files. Like, I love the X-Files, but I'm not gonna do it because it's 220-hour-long episodes, 11 seasons, and 2 movies. That is too much, even for me. Sorry, I got my 500 waters here to stay hydrated. Anyways, I can see why people like Venjix. I'm still a bit on the fence if I would say he's the scariest villain. He's one of those villains that you love to hate. I like how evil he is. I like how dead serious and no nonsense he is. I like how threatening he is to the Rangers, and he definitely earned his place as a badass Power Rangers big bad. However, if I find him scary, he's almost there, but I do find other villains far creepier. Like, Queen Bansheera really traumatized my childhood. I understand Lord Zed used to be very terrifying back in the day. I still think Master Org and Mesogog are way creepier than him, but they also have the advantage of having physical forms, whereas this guy doesn't get his physical form until like the last 10 episodes. How about Freaky Stories? It's on YouTube or Tubi, and it's only 37 episodes. I'll think about it. My YouTube channel named Horror Movies World. Yeah, I also kind of dumped Crypt TV because a lot of people lost interest in it, and I don't like the Cryptverse anymore, and they take forever to make actual shorts. Crypt TV does not make original content anymore. Now they just play ads and clips from new horror movies. It really sucks, and a lot of people do not care for it anymore, so Crypt TV is definitely out. Hey, Reboot Ranger, glad you made it. We're wrapping up Venjix. So, I do like Venjix. I'll put him on S tier. Not this body, though. I thought this body was kind of weak. It's a dud, and even Venjix kind of calls out Shifter on how badly built it was and how this body went down too easily. Very nice that Venjix actually got physically involved. It's made clear that Venjix is on the sidelines for a time being because he's trapped in this form for the most part of it. He's a virus in a computer, and he's building himself perfect forms. The final form, really awesome, really like that design. He recycled it off of one of his minions' corpses, so that made him far scarier. You're not wrong about Crypt TV. Yeah, I know. Like, I see Found 5 episodes, like All Hallows Eve, Bad Wolf Down. I don't know what Found 5 is, okay? But Venjix, Really like him. I can see he's an iconic villain. I'm still on the fence if I'll put him on my scariest Power Ranger villains list, especially because he eventually becomes Evox. Yeah, we'll mention that because I know everyone's gonna bring it up. Venjix did not really die. He was used for sequel bait, which never happened until a mere 8 years later, where on Beast Morphers, we get a completely out of nowhere twist that the villain Evox is Venjix. Yeah, Evox from the Power Rangers Beast Morphers show, I think that one's on Netflix, basically reveals completely out of nowhere that he was Venjix. A villain from a completely separate Power Ranger show, which I'm sure the kids these days probably never even saw or heard of. Yeah, it is kind of jarring, but I know we all love Venjix, but is there really anyone in the child demographic that would remember RPM years later? Yeah, basically Evox is Venjix. Venjix came back to life during one of the scientists' tests. He was in one of the morphers a scientist was testing, and it mixed with snake venom, turning him into Evox. And yeah, he has a final fight with the new gen Rangers until he's killed for good. Yeah, sorry, Evox is not on this tier list. Not gonna watch Beast Morphers because I've heard nothing but bad news around it, and no, the fact that they brought Venjix back does not make me want to watch it. It just shows me how desperate Power Rangers has become that they have member berries. Like I try to find it easy. Okay. Glad to see my overall favorite Power Rangers villain is an S tier. Venjix is just epic for nearly ruling all humanity at the start. Has many powerful forms, a great menacing voice, and basically immortal. Scott Truman's actor played Eric Darville and Malcolm Ducasse in Jessica Jones. Yeah, I thought he looked familiar. Hey, by the way, it works. I'm going to be popping in and out. Nice that we're doing this one for the last few good Power Rangers seasons, by the way. Yeah, I finally watched RPM for the first time ever, and I was surprised at how good it was. I watched the show very late. I did not see it when it was on TV. Did not watch it during my childhood. I watched this, like, just last week, and yeah, it is pretty good. Venjix, him and his final form both on S tier. The middling form for Venjix we'll put on B because it was one of his weaker forms. Speaking of which, let's also get our minions out of the way, the Grinders. The Grinders, aka the Terminators. I might actually put onto A. Yeah, we finally got awesome minions again. These are Venjix's foot soldiers, the Grinders. Basically, robot ninjas. They're Terminators. They're evil machine troops. They're the expendable foot soldiers. They do this funny noise like they sound like gears grinding, hence the name Grinders. And yeah, I thought they were pretty cool. They were creepy, they're unsettling. They don't get many funny moments, which is very shocking for a Power Ranger show. Usually the minions are like bumbling fools, but these guys, they are very effectively scary. Watching them massacre and mow down human beings Terminator style is really haunting imagery for this show. Like Creepshow's easy to find the episodes since they are not copyrighted. Could see the Christmas special. Maybe, but I know people are gonna ask me to do the Creepshow movie first. Grinders are like Decepticons. Well, I would say RPM, again, more like Terminator. There's like, Venjix is clearly Skynet, and his machines are clearly advanced Terminator assassin models. This was definitely the Terminator Power Ranger show. Yeah, I think the Grinders pretty awesome henchmen. They were pretty creepy, they were threatening, and surprisingly get a lot of scary shots. We see them dragging human civilians around, chasing people, appearing in like a war zone. Really dead serious imagery, which made me like them. I will put them onto A, but the Quantrons and Stingwingers are much better. Alright, speaking of which, we should also get off of our mentor, Dr. K. So, am I the only one who thought this was gonna be Dr. Cat? Yeah, I thought it was gonna be Dr. Cat because they keep calling her Dr. K, but nope, it's another woman with the letter K. This is Dr. K, the inventor of the Power Rangers, and The Venjix virus. Dr. K is this elusive mentor in the first handful of episodes. She's hiding in her science lab, hiding in a secret room, talking to them through a screen, basically, like Charlie's Angel style, giving them their missions, giving them reports, and talking to them. However, she eventually reveals herself, and she's this really young teenage girl. This is Dr. K. She invented the Venjix virus, and I might put her on A. Yeah, okay, so a lot of people really love Dr. K, and it's not hard to see why. However, she's far from my favorite Ranger mentor. This is the boss of the Power Rangers. She's the one who gives the orders, who made the tech, who's informing the Rangers on everything that's happening in the plot, and she eventually gets a character arc fighting alongside them in action. Believe it or not, Dr. K also came back in Beast Morphers. I guess as their way of foreshadowing that Evox was Venjix all along, but, I don't really care. I don't like Beast Morphers. I see weird villains like Heatbot, Manholebot, and Oilbot. Reboot Ranger found that funny. Dr. K, played by Olivia Tennant, like she played Elise in Xena Warrior Princess. Oh, she did? Okay, I gotta look out for her again if she was in that show. What I remember about Dr. K is how in one episode the Rangers explain the details of their power suits and how their cars have eyes and explosions from behind them. Yeah, I like that too. Ziggy finally pointed out, hey, why do we have explosions that boom behind us when we morph? And we finally got an explanation for that on this show. Dr. K reveals that the reason why we keep seeing explosions behind the Rangers in their morphing and posing is because that's all the excess power going off. Apparently it takes a huge amount of energy to morph the Power Rangers, and every time you see those fireworks, it's because of the power in the Rangers' suits, basically kind of going out like exhaling from them. That is kind of funny, that it's all the residue energy being set off from morphing and such. That is not spandex! Yeah, she does not like that. Like, she's good at playing the violin and piano instruments. Okay, so Dr. K's backstory. This is pretty much her highlight episode, her backstory. She was a child prodigy. She was a genius. She knew science and math at a very young age, where she was abducted by this Splinter Cell government who called themselves Alphabet Soup. They called them that because they gave all the kids one letter for their name. She was K. Dr. K was taken in and pretty much held prisoner by this evil Illuminati government institute. They were using her and profiting off of her genius. Dr. K wanted to go outside, and she is pretty much the cause of this entire series. She invented the Venjix virus to escape from the government facility. However, she was stopped before she could put on the safety protocols, where the Venjix virus did not stop at just destroying Alphabet Soup, but the entire world. Dr. K was held prisoner. She never went outside, and in the future, after she finally escapes the facility, she immediately goes to work trying to correct her mistake. We find out why Dr. K is doing all this. She wants to atone and fix her mistake because it's all her fault Venjix destroyed the Earth. Dr. K is trying to create the Power Rangers to correct her mistake, teaching these soldiers, having human friends help her defeat the evil Venjix virus. However, it's very clear she's kind of closed off. A lot of people tell me they think Dr. K is autistic. I think it's more so she's emotionally stunted because she never had a childhood. Dr. K, very antisocial, very quirky, very weird, a lot obsession with science, and kind of mildly rude to the Rangers at times because she is not good at reading the room. What I found funny, how she kept saying that the suits are not spandex, but they clearly are spandex. Yeah, that's because, yeah, the Ranger suits are always spandex, but she defends that they're not. They're made from her super duper science adhesive and whatnot. Really like that. Liked her having petty fights with the Rangers because Dr. K is essentially a kid deep down and hanging out with these younger people. She's actually like a year younger than them, but calls herself their mentor. Yeah, Dr. K is an underrated mentor, very unique for being kind of a child and good growth, for bonding with the Rangers and fixing her mistake for creating Venjix. Yeah, basically it's a redemption arc. She's opening up, coming out of her shell, and trying to correct her mistake of creating the Venjix virus, proving herself, showing that she does have her friends' backs, and Dr. K eventually hooks up with Ziggy, of all people. There's a huge running gag where she's rude towards Ziggy, not even calling him by his name, keep calling him Ranger Enforcer Green or something. Yeah, keeps calling him the Green Ranger, and she clearly doesn't like Ziggy until the end where they hook up, because of course the two characters who hate each other slowly grow to love each other and form a bond where she and Ziggy open up a children's school together. It's a shame she didn't be the navy blue RPM Ranger and her animal being a panther or fox. Yeah, unfortunately Dr. K came back in Beast Morphers, which we don't talk about around here. I remember how the twins made her feel human. Yeah, Jem and Gemma, they were also held prisoner in there with them, and they were a lot more friendlier. They still have bad social skills, but actually treated Dr. K like a friend in their family, and that helped her somewhat gain trust in people. They said the one moment she has a child trait is the scene with the bunny slippers. Well, also Dr. K fawns over the guys. Like, she doesn't wear her emotions on her sleeve. She is kind of antisocial that way, and very clear she talks with Summer that she's been checking out the guys just like she is, and considers one of the dudes in the group a perfect 10, which I found really funny. She tries to have girl talk with Summer and is talking to Summer about her love life and addressing the love triangle that Summer has feelings for both Scott and Dylan, and Dr. K gives her 2 cents, dropping how she also lusts after the guys and considers one of them a perfect 10, and she's like, so which one do you consider the 10? Like, well, guess Billy Cranston, RJ, Numas Kruger, Daggers, and Tommy Oliver. Oh, Daggeron, Tommy Oliver, Kendall Morgan, and Udana are the only mentor beings in Power Rangers. You forgot Zordon, but yeah. So, Dr. K, I like her talking, having girl talk with Summer, and when she's saying goodbye to the Rangers and has to go on the lam, she gives these long hugs towards all the hot guys except for Ziggy. Like, she completely spurns and rejects Ziggy. She's clearly into the masculine men. She gives a long bear hug to Dylan, then to Scott, and even Flynn got one, but Ziggy, nope, she doesn't give him one. She's a total tsundere towards Ziggy, which is really funny. Ziggy's trying to, like, earn her respect all series and doesn't win it until, like, the last final 5 episodes. Anyways, in the finale, Dr. K helps them shut down the Venjix virus. She's, of course, in her computer lab. She finally goes outside, goes out on the field, helps save her Rangers. She and Ziggy finally have a romantic moment. Ziggy comes back to save her. They eventually work together to escape the clutches of General Killer Bite. They escape. She and Tenaya 15 work together to destroy Venjix's systems, and she does save Jem and Gemma. Jem and Gemma initially died in the first part of the finale, but she manages to save them. So, I do like Dr. K. I don't consider her S tier because we did have a lot better mentor figures. I mean, our last Ranger show, we had Zordon, who was really cool. But Dr. K, I'll put on A. She is definitely a fun character. I can see why people like her, and she keeps cannons in her refrigerator, so that automatically makes her badass. So yeah, Dr. K will put on A. Alright, so let's talk about the character you all want to talk about, Tenaya 7 / Tenaya 15. Yep, Tenaya, she's gone on to S tier. Really loved her. Tenaya 7 is our sexy, badass, femme fatale girl Terminator. And yeah, one of the hottest Power Ranger villainesses ever. I really regret not adding her on my top 6 list I did of all the hottest Power Ranger babes, because I can definitely see what people saw in her. Also, Dan Mora just draw Batman and Robin as Power Rangers. Okay, don't know what you're talking about. There is a reference to Kane Samurai where Emily wore a wig and pretended to be a drill instructor. Well, I've never watched Samurai beyond one episode. Anyways, Tenaya 7, total S tier, really loved her. She's hot, she's funny, she kick ass. She's kind of the Baroness and the TX from Rise of the Machines rolled into one. Basically, sexy femme fatale, she gets stuff done. She has a bit of she-go in her because she's not afraid to be snarky towards Venjix and his dumbass inner circle. Overdrive Yellow, my crush. You loved the Overdrive Rangers reboot. A parody Dr. K is on Database Rangers Power Review show on YouTube. Okay, I'd have to see that then. I know Zordon and Tommy get parodied all the time, but never saw a lot of the later iterations. Anyways, like, who didn't love Tenaya 7? So it is kind of painfully obvious what the twist is. So, Black Ranger Dylan is trying to find his long-lost sister, who was a human in one of these forced labor camps. They were being experimented on by the machines, and during a tragic accident, he lost his sister. And it is very, very obvious who the sister is. Spoilers, Tenaya 7 is Dylan's sister. No, that's not true. That's impossible. Search your feelings, you know it be true. Yep, Tenaya 7 is Dylan's sister, reforged as a cybernetic machine assassin. She is a hybrid. She's half human, half robot, and was basically Venjix's pet project for 70% of the series. Venjix has turned Tenaya 7 into his ultimate killing warrior, his trusted second in command, and Tenaya 7 really like her. She's badass, she's hot, she gets a lot of butt shots, so you get to see Tenaya 7 running and seeing her backside a lot, and yeah, Adelaide really looks hot in that. Tenaya, played by Adelaide Kane, who is born in Australia to a Scottish father. Yeah, basically the show shot in New Zealand, so it made it easier. Really liked Adelaide's performance. She's funny, she's scary, she's serious. She is totally a new generation's astronomer. She's like a new age astronomer for the kids these days, and a really good one too. So yeah, we do have to address it. RPM pretty much copies the famous twist in Power Rangers in Space, where a ranger and the main villain are related. Here, Tenaya 7 is related to the Black Ranger, Dylan. Dylan is trying to find his sister, and eventually, after 20 episodes, finally realizes Tenaya 7 is his sister. Tenaya used to be this poor blind girl. She was separated from Dylan during an escape, and reforged into one of Venjix's ultimate assassins. She is a prototype for his new hybrid monsters, who are half human, half machine agents, fully programmed to obey him. So, really like Tenaya 7, she's kick-ass, she has her funny moments, she's snarky, she's kick-ass, very petty. One of my favorite moments is she wants to steal a bedazzling gem, destroy Corinth, and ruin the Yellow Ranger's wedding at the same time. Really liked it. Talk about Summer's parents next. Really? Flynn is next? We'll see. Okay. Anyways, like Tenaya 7, her character arc doesn't get resolved until the finale. I do like Ziggy's comment, you know, when she's not trying to pummel us into the pavement, she's kinda a hottie. That is the smartest thing Ziggy has ever said, and fully true. Tenaya 7 should be Tenaya 10 out of 10 because she's perfect. Yeah, I really like her. Got this sexy Baroness and the TX kind of thing going on. She's a kick-ass machine. In the finale, she's finally cured of her brainwashing. Dr. K made a cure to save all the Manchurian robot agents and can cure the virus out of them. Dylan uses this to save his life and takes a vial to use on his sister. After fighting General Killer Bite, he manages to save his sis, and she at last proves herself by helping them take down Venjix's final scheme for good. Because Venjix doesn't know she's been broken free of him, she manages to infiltrate the command tower and completely sabotages Venjix's OP powers. She destroys his connection to their system, disrupts his plans, has a final fight with General Crunch, which, Yeah, kind of a letdown since General Crunch was basically a non-character. Dylan saves her and they parachute out of the tower before they both successfully kill Venjix. He gets crushed by the tower and is destroyed physically, and Dylan ends the series going on a road trip with his sister and his girlfriend, going on an exploration of the newfound Earth with two sexy ladies. And yeah, I really like Tenaya 7. Wish I would have put her on my hottest Power Ranger babes list. Not gonna lie, she does not top my precious Vipra or Trakina in terms of sexy bad girls, but she probably would have made honorable mentions. If I made a full-fledged top 10, she would have like been 9 or 8 for sure. But yeah, Tenaya 7, I see what fans love about her. She's hot, she's kick-ass, she's funny, actually has a very deep, profound character arc, even if she is kind of just a new-gen Astronema, but I will put her on S tier because she was definitely a terrific character. Tenaya 7 / Tenaya 15 was one successful experiment. Like why a tower death instead of going full Zola effect on Ultron. Well, RPM kind of had its budget sliced in half, so I think that was the best they could do. Besides, Venjix came back as Evox. Alright, you want to talk about Summer's parents, the Lansdowns? Yeah, I'm going into F. Screw Summer's parents. Basically, Summer's parents, total elitist pricks. They show up out of nowhere. They had no connection to Summer her entire life. Summer was basically a spoiled brat, and it's kind of funny seeing the Yellow Ranger used to be a bitch. Summer used to be this vain, arrogant alpha bitch, not too far off from Trakina, honestly. Summer used to be a spoiled brat, and she did everything to impress her parents. However, her parents were never in her life. Her parents were constantly out making money, doing rich people things, and neglecting their daughter. They weren't even there on her friggin' birthday party. Now you see why I like Tenaya 7 in my top 10 Power Crush list. She's beautiful and deadly. Yeah, totally, Tenaya 7 is perfect 10 out of 10, girl. If she was on my list, she probably would have made 7 or 8. Or 8 or 9. But yeah, if I would have had her on the honorable mentions regardless in the top 6. I see what people love about Tenaya 7. Pretty hot. Anyways, Summer's parents, they're not so hot. They're F. They're dicks. Basically, they show up alive back in Corinth and demand their daughter marry this spoiled rich snob named Chaz. And basically, they're poor. They're guilting her into marrying this rich guy so they have access to money again. They have no money. They want wealth again, and they want to resume living the high life in this new city, and basically guilt Summer into giving into them and marrying this douchebag she knows nothing about. Yeah, Summer's parents are the worst. So, to their credit, they tried to give them a redemption arc. Summer finally stands up to her parents and basically finds out who she really is. The butler was more of a father figure for Summer than her own parents are. The butler, Andrews, that was his name. Andrews was like this very faithful, loyal Alfred type of butler who cared for Summer, who nurtured her, did everything she commanded, and she didn't even know like his first name, and eventually Andrews sacrifices himself to save Summer when the Machine Wars goes down. The apocalypse starts, and Andrews is the only one who saves her. Her own friends ditch her, kick her off a truck escorting refugees. And Summer's saved by Andrews and finally sees the error of her ways. She realizes that she's not this pampered, selfish bitch. She wants to be a good guy like him. She wants to be a hero, and Andrews actually dies protecting her, and this changes Summer completely into the hero we know and love. Summer's now rescuing people, and the last time she ever saw her parents is she's going off to save Scott. He's like a downed pilot, and they say, "What are you doing, Summer? We're Lansdowns. We don't help people." Well, I guess I'm a different person. Yeah, she goes out, saves Scott, and never talks to her parents again until her 2-part origin, where her parents show up and basically act like dicks. They're calling the Rangers servants, being elitist, being classist towards them, and they don't get called out until part 2, where Summer basically tells them to screw off. She's a Power Ranger. She stops Tenaya 7 from ruining her wedding and stealing the diamond, and the parents, I guess, have a redemption where they finally see Summer for who she is and give up living the high life, decide to get jobs like she said, and respect their daughter for who she is. And yeah, it is kind of rushed. It's a bit of a clunky redemption arc in all things considered. So it feels like basically if Chloe's parents, if Chloe was her parents, yeah. Okay, they were in Hercules and Xena too. Okay. Didn't know the show was that old. Yeah, anyway, Summer's parents, they might be the worst characters on this list. We'll put them in F, and yeah, it was kind of hard to buy their atonement, and they respect Summer in the end and go off to basically live their lives like normal people and get jobs, but kind of hard to buy it, all things considered, and it does not make up for how huge assholes they were in all that entire two-parter, so we'll put them on F. Alright, let's talk positive. Let's do our Blue Ranger, Flynn. Yeah, Flynn, going on to A. I really want to put Flynn on S tier, but he is tragically our out-of-focus Ranger. So, Scott's the Red Ranger's the leader. Dylan's the brooding one. Yellow's the girl. What does that make you, Blue? I'm Scottish! Yeah, Flynn is pretty badass. Not gonna lie, I really liked Flynn. This might be one of my favorite Blue Rangers ever. However, he does not make it on S tier just because he's out of focus. Yeah, there's always a Ranger who doesn't get enough screen time, and tragically, that is Flynn. Really liked Flynn. He's basically Scotty from Star Trek if he was a Power Ranger. I'm Scottish! Yeah, Benny's here. Really funny. Ari Boyland played Flynn. I really liked Flynn. He's kick-ass, he's brave, he's noble. He actually does have a backstory that's very interesting. So basically, Flynn was a complete loser. He was a nobody. He wanted to be a hero, always reading comics, always aspiring to do good, wanting to help the world, and life kind of spat in his face. His dad, who's also down here, in an interesting case, his dad actually didn't want him to help people, didn't want him to try. Basically, his dad gave him the lesson that the world's cruel and will reject you, even if you do good and give it your all. No good deed goes unpunished. That kind of moral and that mindset. Flynn tried stopping some idiot bullies. He got beaten up and the girl was completely ungrateful to him. He tried being a cop. He failed. He tried being a firefighter. He failed. He actually tried joining the Peace Corps and became Braveheart, leading the tribe in battle, and he failed that. And basically, Flynn has kind of failed trying to be a good guy his entire life until the apocalypse happens. So he and his dad are trying to escape the city, and his dad's encouraging him, don't bother helping people, help yourself, only look out for you. Don't throw your life away trying to save people or do good like these fictional superheroes do. However, some refugees are pleading for help because one of them lost their child. There's refugees in the red zone of the war zone, basically. There's children at risk, and Flynn, like the true badass hero that he is, decides to go back and help save civilians. He hijacks a school bus and he goes right into the war zone where the troops are killing people, and he saves as many refugees as he can, including the children. Also, he was in a Disney Channel movie, You Wish, as James Cooper. Never watched those DCOM movies. With the Yellow Ranger, Akira from Dino Thunder's actress. Oh, you mean Kira Ford. Okay. So, Flynn actually goes back, saves some refugees, and this is what proves that he was worthy as a ranger. He actually risked his life saving civilians, and he managed to get back without any scratch except for the hood of the car that fell off. He returns with a bunch of innocent children and civilians, lets them out, and his character arc is kind of resolved in his origin episode, where his dad finally accepts his son for who he is and realizes he was wrong, that his son is a hero, and his dad and he have a heartwarming moment where his dad admits that he was wrong. He was totally proud of his son for being a hero, glad that he actually risked his life to help people he doesn't know, and realizes that Flynn is a hero deep down. And this got him to be the Blue Ranger, basically. He got the Blue Morpher, and he's kind of the engineer of the team. He's always fixing cars, always working on gadgets and gizmos. Not as great as Dr. K, but he definitely has his talents. He invents that cool tire Megazord that they always kick at the villains. He is a Blue Lion Ranger. Okay, that is him. Okay. He becomes the Blue Ranger, and I actually really liked him. Flynn is badass. He kicks butt. He's very funny. He's kind of the heart of the team, basically, aside from Ziggy. Ziggy tries to be the heart, but he's not good at it. So he also gets some shipping moments with Gemma. Really surprising that the twins, I thought the twins would be like either brother, sister, or a couple, but no, they're not. Gemma gets like a crush on Flynn, and tragically it goes nowhere because Flynn is completely out of focus, and Dylan and Summer are kind of the alpha couple already. Fun fact, Yellow Lost Galaxy Ranger Maya is the Wolf Ranger. Yep, I thought there was something special about her. Flynn tragically only gets like 2 episodes. He's kind of like Katie from Time Force. Really cool hero and a kick-ass friend. However, just lack of screen time. That's the only problem with Flynn, is that he's out of focus, and I really would have loved to see more of him, especially because the guy playing him seems like he's actually having fun. Really liked Flynn. He's badass. He and Gemma should have gotten together, but they don't. At the end of the series, after they defeat Venjix, Flynn basically goes back to his dad, and they open up kind of a shop together. They like fix cars and gadgets, that sort of thing, and he puts his engineering powers to good use. Anyways, he is a true Blue. I'll put him on A. He is very awesome, and if I ever make a top 10 best Blue Rangers, Flynn would definitely be on it. Alright, so gotta get our villains out of the way. Let's get General Shifter, or as I like to call him, General Shitter, going on to F, and Captain Crunch also. I did not like General Shifter or Crunch. These guys were total wasted potential. They are basically bumbling comic relief villains. General Shifter and Crunch are both kind of the same character. They're total idiots. They're trying to impress Venjix and very clearly pale in comparison to General Killerbite and Tenaya 7. So basically, Crunch does nothing all series. He is the dumb one. He's the goofy minion. He's always pissing everyone off, always acting dumb and getting beat up, and it isn't until the finale where he actually does something. He tries to stop Tenaya 7 by having a final fight in the tower, and yeah, I kind of think this fight should have gone to General Killerbite instead, but, you know, Crunch is Tenaya 7's final boss, and Dylan finally beats him. He dies falling in the tower that killed Venjix, basically. This guy pretty much did nothing but stand on the sidelines cracking jokes and bantering with the funnier characters. They sound like weak cereal mascots. Yeah, I call him Captain Crunch because that's it. Anyways, General Shifter, as I like to call him, General Shitter, also a total idiot. He's a wannabe villain. He gets a little more to do than Crunch, which, yeah, I guess I could put him above him, but not far up. General Shifter, basically same thing as Crunch. He's a goofy comic relief minion standing on the sidelines, and until the final 10 episodes he finally does something. They tried to make this guy like the Treacheron of the RPM show, but it does not work. Basically, he's framed by Tenaya 7. He was once loyal to Tenaya 7 as a complete bootlicker to her until General Killerbite shows up, and he instantly abandons Tenaya 7 when she starts failing and sides with General Killerbite instead because he's much better and cooler than her. And Tenaya 7 vows revenge on him for ditching her, basically, for the popular guy. He's played by Mark Mitchison. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know Crunch is always cackling and acting kind of like a Joker-esque character, but Sometimes he's funny, but sometimes he comes close to Elgar annoying. General Shifter basically gets fired because Tenaya 7 sabotaged his latest machine. He invents a new machine that's supposed to be the body for Venjix, it epic fails, and General Shifter is basically exiled out. He's booted from the entire machine complex and left for dead in the wasteland. However, General Shifter, I guess, pulls a Starscream because he tries to steal Corinth for himself, and using his machine, he fixes what Tenaya 7 broke, and he nearly succeeds at destroying the entire Dome City, until, of course, the Rangers stop him. Out of kind of sheer random, they made General Shifter an arch nemesis for the Red Ranger. It kind of comes out of nowhere, and I guess they really wanted to give him something to do because they have the final fight. General Shifter, hacks the Megazord, also hacks the Red Ranger's bodysuit, forces him to nearly kill his friends. However, they manage to defeat him. Tenaya 7 destroys his machine again, and the Red Ranger and General Shifter have a final battle, which is obviously trying to be like Red Ranger Leo versus Trecheron's fight, where the shamed villain wants to go out in a final fight against a worthy opponent, and it doesn't work. I'm sorry, it doesn't work as much because General Shifter has basically done nothing until literally the episode where he's been fired. As Cat O'Clock in Ninja Steel. General Crunch is played by Charlie McDermott. Okay. And Hecatoid and Mystic Force. Yep, once again, Power Rangers are cycling actors. General Shifter has a final fight with Red, and he loses, and it's not nearly as cool as Leo versus Trecheron. That one was much more awesome. General Shifter is just kind of a non-character until suddenly they decide to make him a major super-duper boss fight for Scott. Why does he sound like a 1960s supervillain, General Shifter? Well, it's Power Rangers, it's campy. And Smash in Beast Morphers. Okay, yeah, glad they're still getting work, though. Unfortunately, Crunch doesn't do anything until the final episode where he fights Tenaya 7, and he dies falling in the tower. It's barely a fight. It should have gone to General Killer Bite, but we'll get to him. And General Shifter, again, he kind of did nothing, and I can't really tell you his personality outside of he was pissed off that Tenaya 7 framed him. You think he would take out Tenaya 7 and they would be arch enemies, but no, General Killer Bite kind of filled that void. Anyways, yeah, Shifter and Crunch, going on to F, they were pretty much non-characters, and that was my biggest problem with them. Alright, anyways, let's do Marcus, the cool brother of Scott, going on to B. Yeah, this guy is in one episode, and he's pivotal to Scott's story arc. This is Scott's cooler, badass older brother, the good son, the good soldier, the one the family always loved. He's the Mike to Scott's Leo. He's the ace, he's badass, and basically he was supposed to be the Red Ranger, however he got killed in combat. They're fighting Venjix's fighter jets, trying to save people. They're in the Air Force together. The son, Marcus, tragically goes out in a final battle, and this affects more so Scott and the Colonel's story arc, because they never quite got over his death. Is Vasquez there? Yep, she's here. I don't know why Vasquez and Hicks are on here. Yeah, we'll put them on C, Vasquez and Hicks. Also kind of comic reliefs on the side. Corporal Hicks is kind of a doofus, but it turns out in a twist, both these comic relief characters are Manchurian hybrid cyborgs working for Venjix. Corporal Hicks is a bumbling doofus. He's basically the Colonel's right-hand man. Then he screws around, breaks Dr. K's stuff, always touches things, and in the finale, it's revealed that both these two are Manchurian agents. They're cyborgs. They're just like Dylan and Tenaya. They were half human, half cyborg, and were plants working for Venjix. They try to assassinate the Colonel. However, they fail, and I presume they were cured off screen because Dr. K cured all the agents. Is General Crunch Captain Crunch's evil robot clone? Yeah, I like to call him Captain Crunch. He's part of the Ellersile Theater. Don't know what that is. He's based on Corporal Dwayne Hicks and Aliens. Okay, that is him. Okay. And this is Vasquez, also a shout out to Aliens because Vasquez was one of the fan favorite background characters in that. Vasquez, not as cool as her Aliens counterpart. Basically, she's more so the shy girl working in the military. She's the right-hand woman, but she's more so doing assistant job stuff. She gets an episode to herself when all the men are knocked out by this knockout gas. Tenaya 7 and her stupid straw robot send in this knockout gas, which is supposed to take out all the humans. However, during a fight with the Rangers, they lost one of the chemical vials, and the knockout gas only works on guys. It only knocks out males, and all the women have to save the day, and Vasquez is finally put in charge for once. Vasquez basically takes command of the command center, and she's very nervous. She's not used to it, and basically it's about girl power, and they give her the support and love she needs, and she grows a spine in the end and helps the Rangers save the day. Really nice character arc, and she doesn't come back until the finale, where it's revealed that she's also a Manchurian agent. She's the one who allows Venjix into the base, and they dethrone their colonel. She's under his brainwash control and joins the civilian army trying to kill the Power Rangers, knowing the Rangers can't kill them because they're part human. Vasquez is played by Mia Koning, who was born in Cape Town, South Africa. Okay, I guess that's how she passed for Hispanic then. Yeah, these two basically side characters. They have names, they have funny moments, they get one spotlight episode at least, but I wouldn't go home writing about them as best characters ever. We'll put them on C. Alright, let's also get Benny out of the way. Benny also going on to B. This guy was Ziggy's only friend when Ziggy was a part of the Fresno Bob Mafia. This guy was pretty much Ziggy's bro, the only one who respected him, and he only got one episode where it's a part of Ziggy's backstory. Ziggy used to be a mafioso, and Benny was his only friend and basically helped smuggle him out. Helped him escape Fresno Bob's wrath, helped back him up, and allowed him to escape the city. Basically, he's a bro. They'll put him on B because he's a total bro. Nice guy, and he actually defends Ziggy when all the Rangers are accusing him, so that's a pretty sweet moment. We'll put him on B. But I guess we should talk about the other Rangers right now. I'm Scottish. Yeah, badass Flynn line. Flynn made it onto A. Want to put him on S here, but he's just out of focus. So, alright, let's talk about Ziggy. Gonna piss off a lot of people, but Ziggy going on to C. Yeah, I know, Ziggy is a fan favorite. He's the funny one. He's a Green Ranger. He had some of the best character development on the show ever, but I just find him a lot more annoying and irritating. Ziggy is the Green Ranger. He's our comic relief character, and yeah, sometimes he's funny, but more often than not, he can be annoying, and you kind of understand why the other Rangers hate him. Ziggy is basically a complete loser. He's a nobody. He worked for the Mafia. He was born unlucky. Nothing ever goes right for him. He's kind of Eddie and Double D combined. Basically, Ziggy's trying to make a living, be rich, be somebody who matters. He pissed off the Mafia, and he's on the run, and he leaves the safety of his city until he bumps into Dylan. He and Dylan kind of become like an odd couple. They become friends. They become total bros by the end. Dylan picks him up in his ride and gives him a lift back to the city of Corinth. He's the Shark Ranger, which makes no sense because he's green. Yeah, okay, so I know a lot of people really love Ziggy. He's funny at times, but more often than not, I got irritated with him, and his antics kind of shifted the tone of the show more often than it helped it. Basically, Ziggy accidentally becomes a Power Ranger. Dylan and Ziggy make it back to the city of Corinth. However, Dylan is the one who's monitored for being a potential Ranger. Ziggy is almost thrown into prison. However, Dylan manages to make a deal to get them both out, where Ziggy becomes a personal assistant to the Rangers. Ziggy is a fanboy of the Rangers, considers them great heroes, and then when he's tasked with trying to help find a Green Ranger, the Morpher accidentally locks in on him. Was Ziggy a better comedy Ranger than Bridge? Yeah, slightly, because Ziggy had a lot more going on than Bridge did. I'll give him that. Who has a shark motorcycle? I remember his stupid scooter more. So, Ziggy was basically this troublemaking misfit. He was a part of the mafia. He's been to prison before. He's the troublemaker of the group. He's always stepping into something, getting them into trouble, backing them up when they need him, but he's also kind of cowardly. He is a total newbie in the Rangers. All the other Rangers, total badasses, total combatants. They know how to fight, they're smart, and Ziggy just isn't until the end of the series. Basically, it's Ziggy's rise to adulthood. Ziggy matures over the course of the show, becomes a better Power Ranger, becomes responsible, and sort of grows up and treats the Rangers like his family. Ziggy's always trying to get Dr. K to like him, and she doesn't because she finds him stupid and finds him too annoying like everyone else does. Who was married to Dr. K's actress? Yeah, they actually hooked up in real life. It's really funny seeing how much Dr. K and Ziggy hate each other. Then you find out the actors actually hooked up. Once again, two Ranger castmates actually became a couple, like Damon and Trakina from Lost Galaxy. Unfortunately, missed your In Space tier list. Ashley was my Ranger crush, a la Maya was yours. Yeah. Maya is a perfect 10. I can definitely see what people liked about Ashley, but she just didn't do it for me. Like, no disrespect, Ashley made it on my hottest Power Ranger babes list if you haven't seen that, but Ashley's just not my type. I prefer Maya and Katie. They were way hotter Yellow Rangers. Well, he's better than Kim from Miraculous. Only slightly, Akira. Anyways, Ziggy, basically, he had mob connections, which actually did kind of impress me. This is a Power Ranger show where the mob actually exists. He pissed off Fresno Bob down here, and they have sort of a rivalry going on. They're trying to hunt down Ziggy because he owes them $5 million, and we find out there's a reason why. In Ziggy's backstory, which I will consider his best episode, we finally find out there's more to him than meets the eye. Ziggy used to serve the mob, and he betrayed his boss by stealing medical supplies that were supposed to be sold on the black market because he decided to give them to an orphanage with dying kids. The kids were suffering gamma radiation poisoning from the apocalypse, and Ziggy couldn't just stand back and let them die. He stole this $5 billion worth of black market supplies from his own boss and donated them to some dying orphans. He gave them to the kids, they got better. However, this made him a target on the mob's hit list, so he decided to run away, where he escaped from Corinth City, only to bump into Dylan, where his journey started. Since is like Ziggy, but a jerk. Yeah, Kim definitely is a jerk. Like RPM have an animal themed, like I thought Jungle Fury was the animal themed Rangers. Yeah, RPM had animals, but more so cars. Why did Vipera get the nod over Trakina in your top 6 ranking? Because I find Vipera hotter, okay? Alright, CK, I dig Vipera a lot more. Yeah, Trakina was pretty hot too, so I'm not gonna lie there. Amy Miller looks really beautiful, but Vipera definitely did something for me, made my childhood great for Power Rangers. Anyways, Ziggy, he stole this supplies and he comes back and sort of has an on and off fight with the mob still trying to hunt him. And basically the entire show is Ziggy's redemption arc. He goes from the annoying kooky kid and troublemaker into an actual badass hero. Ziggy shows Dr. K that he's changed, shows that he is a badass. Sometimes his jokes can be really annoying at times, which is why he's down here low, and it kind of got irritating how often Ziggy would be a moment killer on the show, which, yeah, I kind of like when RPM had these nice moments, only for Ziggy to come in and do something stupid. Al, why haven't I leaped? Ziggy says she needs to fall in love with you before you leap. So, Ziggy finally wins the heart of Dr. K, proves that he is a badass, proves that he is a true hero, proves that he was worthy of being the Green Ranger after all, and I do like how Dr. K and Ziggy hooked up. I was surprised to learn that the actors actually did date in real life. Akira says Ziggy and Dr. K's actors actually got married, which is so hilarious watching the show. It's like, no wonder they had good chemistry. Yeah, Ziggy actually does win Dr. K's heart. He proves that nice guys don't finish last, and he opens up an orphanage of his own to help kids. He makes peace with the mafia, sort of. He apologizes to Fresno Barbarino. Don't call me Barbarino. Yeah, he finally buries the hatchet, finally makes peace, finally grows up, finally gets his life together, basically, and he proves to Dr. K that he is total marriage material, so he does have a pretty good arc. Not one of the worst Power Rangers ever, but I know comedy's subjective, but I just don't find him as funny as others do. I was fortunate to meet both Amy Miller and Jennifer Yen, so no harm, no foul. I was just giving my 2 cents. Understandable, CK. We all have tastes. Is Scott's dad, Colonel Mason, there? Yep, he's here. I remember how Ziggy was the one about the explosions. Yeah, Ziggy actually points out, hey, why do random explosions always happen behind us when we morph? They finally explained that in the show. Dr. K confirms, oh, that's just the residue energy from the power of morphing. Yeah, finally, we get an explanation why the Rangers always have cool explosions behind them. It's basically like exhaust from a car, but from the Ranger suit. Sorry, just catching up on comments. Anyways, Ziggy, I know we have this trend of the Green Ranger has to be the funny one. Like, we've had Damon, we'd had Joel, we had Trip, we had, was Tori a Green Ranger or a Blue Ranger? Yeah, there's always like a comic relief ranger, and we had Bridge too. It's usually the green one is the funny guy or funny girl, but Ziggy kind of on and off. Sometimes he was funny, and oftentimes he also got annoying. I understood why the Rangers made fun of him, because nothing ever went right for him, and he always butted in, but I'll put Ziggy on C. He was definitely okay, but could have used some tweaking. It got me thinking of what happened if there was an explosion in a building with a gas leak. Then the Rangers would have done the villain's job for them. Like Power Rangers explosions transformation scene is better than Miraculous. That's because they're in live action, so it looks more cooler. But Tommy Oliver is the Green Ranger. Yeah, I know that. He's like the only green that wasn't played for laughs. Oh yeah, I forgot Cam was also a Comedy Ranger. Technically it was Cyber Cam, but regular Cam had his funny moments. Ziggy, I'm gonna put on C. I just didn't grow that attached to him, even with all his great character development. If you like him, that's fine. He is not a D or an F, but just not my type of Green Ranger. Also, we should get rid of Colonel Truman. Yeah, Colonel Mason Truman. We'll put him on A. This guy is pretty much the Captain Mitchell and Mr. Collins of this show. He's Captain Mitchell because he's the captain. He's the superior officer of the Power Rangers, while Dr. K is the real mentor. This guy's pretty much the boss. He's the head of the Dome City, and he's the only defense against those nasty machines. He's kind of like Captain Mitchell because he's a reasonable authority figure. He gets stuff done. People respect him. He actually respects the Power Rangers, actually works with them a lot. And one of the Rangers is his child, kind of like how Dana was Captain Mitchell's daughter. However, he's also got a lot in common with Mr. Collins, Wes's dad from Time Force, because he doesn't respect his son Scott, is very distant from him, and kind of neglectful of him. He doesn't respect Scott or his feelings, and he wants his daddy's love, the cats in the cradle, and all that stuff. I remember there was a callback to Jungle Fury, as there was a Jungle Pizza when Ziggy was in the Mafia. Yeah, okay, that's what that was. I've never watched Jungle Fury. I'm sorry, I kind of skipped to RPM. If you ranked Power Rangers series as a whole, which, if any, would get S tier? Oh, S tier Power Ranger shows? That is very easy. So, I have not seen Mighty Morphin, but that one might be on S tier or A tier. We'll see when I watch it. But In Space is S tier, Lost Galaxy is S tier, Time Force definitely S tier. I will actually defend Lightspeed Rescue is S tier. I absolutely loved Lightspeed Rescue. Dino Thunder definitely S tier, and I might actually put RPM on S tier too. So, did I get him? Wanted to put Wild Force on S tier. Unfortunately, I noticed a lot more flaws. That one might drop down to A or B. Yeah, B at worst, A at best. Yeah, I wanted to put Wild Force on S tier, but I noticed a lot more flaws, aka the Animus arc in Mandalorian. He's in the show Beast Morphers. Okay, good to know. Power Rangers RPM, girl power done right. Absolutely. The girls, well, basically they didn't act like bitches towards the men. They saved the day while the men were unconscious. And the fact that they don't rub it in their faces is what made it better. Unlike today where they have to rub it in their faces. Anyways, I do like Colonel Mitchell. Colonel Truman, getting my characters mixed up. Again, he's like Captain Mitchell and Mr. Collins rolled into one. Of course, as you'd expect, he finally respects his son Scott. Scott proves himself, he saves some refugees, saves the day and defeats the Venjix virus, and he actually has a nice moment with Dr. Cat where he realizes that Dr. Cat is trying to redeem herself from causing the Venjix virus. So he actually is a reasonable authority figure. Very nice to have those on Power Rangers instead of our occasional useless idiots. James Garland was also the Ancient Sensei in Ninja Storm. Zeltrax and Dino Thunder, awesome character. Cheetar in Operation Overdrive, oof, I'm sorry. And Mr. Watkins and Dino Supercharge. Okay, good to know. Anyways, do like the father-son dynamic for him and his son. Basically, he was kind of everything I was hoping Captain Mitchell and the Pink Ranger were gonna be. Like a father who's very stern with his military brat kid, doesn't respect them as a ranger, treats them more like a soldier before kind of opening up and letting his kid in. And yeah, basically they got the relationship that Dana and Captain Mitchell should have had, trying to prove that they were a worthy Power Ranger, and Scott definitely proved his worth at the end. Colonel Truman finally rewards his son, gives him his dang medal, and promotes him as a military commander for his special ops. And yeah, the father and son are finally together, and they're going to be working again in the future. And unfortunately, RPM never got a crossover. They had some actors appear in the Nick and Netflix shows, but yeah, to varying degrees. Who was the toughest omission to leave off your hottest Rangers top 6? Had there been a number 7? Honestly, I kind of regret not having Tenaya 7 on the list, but I didn't watch RPM all the way through by then. So, yeah, I would have had Tenaya 7 up there, definitely. I agree with Shadowlink. However, I really wanted Kendrix to be on the list. Yeah, I know a lot of people are upset, but I really liked Kendrix too. Kendrix and Cassie, they would have been on the list for sure. Astronema just didn't do anything for me. She made it on honorable mentions because a lot of other people found her attractive, but never really felt anything for Astronema. The toughest ones to leave off the list, easily Cassie and Kendrix. I really wanted them to be on my list, and I regret not having Tenaya 7 on there. Don't worry, Shadowlink, if it was a full top 10, Tenaya 7 probably would have been 7 or 8. 7 because of the funny pun, though. Like no pink RPM Ranger. Yeah, we only got the Yellow Ranger and the girl Silver Ranger. Like we could have a Flamingo Ranger. Anyways, glad the father and son finally got together then. So yeah, he's going on A. Let's also boot off our last two civilians. Fresno Bob, who's going on to C. I kind of liked him in his Robert De Niro parody. This guy's the mafioso in charge of the Scorpion Cartel. Once again, I really like that Power Rangers actually had mafiosos on the series. You never expect the mob to be on a Power Ranger show, but this guy, he's gone on C because he definitely brought something new to the table, and he and Ziggy finally get along at the end. They bury the hatchet, sort of, and Fresno Bob basically gets away with everything, so yeah, we'll put him on C. He was alright. And also, Flynn's dad, who we'll put on to C. This guy had like one episode in the entire series, and it was Flynn's origin. Basically, Flynn's dad did not support him, did not support his dreams, was very much against his son being a hero and doing good. He was not the best parent. Don't worry, he's like not abusive, but he's warning his son to not get involved in anything, not do good, no good deed goes unpunished, and you're better off looking out for yourself. However, they have that awesome heartwarming moment where Flynn goes off to save innocent civilians, and the dad finally respects his son and accepts him for who he is, and gives Flynn his full support before Flynn goes off to be a Power Ranger. Hi everyone, I'm just now tuning in. I met a few of the actors at the comic book store, and one con in Stockton. Good for you, Cammy. Glad you made it. Like how's Disney allow mob bosses and Power Rangers? Well, don't forget Akira. Chip and Dale had Fat Cat, who was a famous cartoon mobster on that Chip and Dale and Tailspin show. I didn't know Ziggy worked for the Mafia, would not expect that. Yeah, Ziggy used to be a Mafia goon. He worked for Fresno Bob until he stole medical supplies and gave them to dying orphans. And that unfortunately put him on Fresno Bob's hit list. Bob sort of worked with Tenaya 7 to try and get revenge until he realized Tenaya 7 was evil and planned to destroy all of humanity, including him, just manipulating him in his revenge spree. And very satisfying to see Tenaya 7 strike fear into him. Are you going to do Ninja Storm? I'm not sure, Anime Nights. I used to love Ninja Storm, but over time, I've completely turned against it. I think Ninja Storm has gotten worse with time. Like, Wild Force got better with time. Ninja Storm got worse. And no, it's not just the effects. I do not like the writing. I don't like the humor. I don't like the goofiness of the Power Rangers on full display, and Lothor, one of the worst Power Ranger villains ever. Lothor is up there next to Divatox in terms of terrible bad guy. So, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna watch Ninja Storm. I might rewatch it if Wolf has enough interest, but I do not remember Ninja Storm being good. I kind of outgrew that show. Ninja Storm has gotten bad in my eyes, and Linkara's History of Power Rangers video has kind of shown me why I don't like it anymore. It got worse. It's a lot goofier, more cartoony. Don't really like many of the Rangers outside of the Thunder Rangers. I do like Hunter and Blake. Those guys are pretty badass, but not a fan of Cybercam, not a fan of all the main Ninja Rangers. I know people crushed hard on Tori because she's a surfer girl, but probably not going to do a Ninja Storm tier list because I just don't like the show anymore. So basically, Power Rangers version of Don Falcone from DC. Yeah, that's pretty much who he is. He's Carmine Falcone. Also, the actor of Red Ranger from Ninja Storm passed away. Oh, he did? Oh, that's sad. R.I.P. to Ninja Storm Red. In case, you should check out the Blue Ranger of Ninja Storm. She was a fan favorite because she was a surfer. Yeah, I just mentioned that. Tori, a lot of people really loved her because she was hot. Tori is hot. I won't deny that. She made it on my top 6 list as an honorable mention, but I just don't want to watch Ninja Storm again. Alright. Anyways, got a lot of good characters left. So, know gonna upset some people, but let's knock off Jem and Gemma, and man, I'm kind of disappointed. These are our two 6th Rangers, so technically we had 7 Power Rangers on this team. The Silver and Gold Ranger, the twins, I think they're twins at least, Jem and Gemma, and going on to D, I did not care for them. Well, you know, I might put Gemma up 1 at least because she was hot and she had a nice moment with Flynn. So, Jem and Gemma were also kid test subjects along with Dr. K. They were held by the evil Splinter Cell organization and were being trained to be Ultimate Warriors. We find out that they're the 6th and 7th Rangers, the Silver and Gold, and we finally got a girl Silver Ranger, and we got the return of a Gold Ranger. The twins, Jem and Gemma, basically, they went off to retrieve their morphers and tried to save people at the Alphabet Soup building. They got separated from Dr. K, and they formally return years later as mysterious new Rangers, who the RPM Rangers instantly recruit into the fold, and they team up to help fight the evil Venjix. Old Disney, great at making villains. Disney now can almost never make a decent villain because they're afraid to make women evil or because of politics. Yeah, I kind of agree there. The only villains in Disney are evil white men who represent the corrupt system, but it's kind of lost its luster because they've done it like 50 times and it got preachy. And girl villains always have to be redeemed because women are never evil, except when they are. Hi, Queen Bansheera. Because not all their villains are female. Yeah, they're always some old white guy. What I heard about Tori from a few fans is that they were excited to see her, as apparently they had a foot fetish towards her. Yeah, because she was a surfer. Okay. Jem is played by Lee Ming Hao, and Jem is played by Mike Gunn. Wow, much easier name to remember. Okay, so I really wanted to like these two. They were pretty awesome. They kicked ass. They had those weird flying chicken Megazords. They show up as ultimate badass warriors, have the best weapons. Silver has ice powers, and I think, what did Jem have? I think he had like fire powers. They were like fire and ice. They both kicked ass. They were inseparable. Had this heroic Tomax and Xamot thing going on. They were basically twins. They talked at the same time, finished each other's sentences. However, they had this annoying habit of being reckless. They were shoot first, ask questions later. They loved fighting, loved blowing things up. The first red flag I had against them was they managed to find a labor camp where human prisoners were being forced to serve the machines, and Jem and Gemma located this camp to blow it up, including all the prisoners that were forced and trapped inside. And yeah, that kind of shocked me that Jem and Gemma love fighting so much that they were going to blow up a building that had innocent slaves being forced to work for Venjix. And they did not care. Like, they did not care. They have fun blowing stuff up. They're those characters. They like to fight. They like blowing things up. Ooh, we're the big guys. We like breaking stuff. That kind of thing. It's not spandex. Yeah. Like, expect Dr. Luloff from Stugo is the African-American villain who is a female scientist, Amanda Waller. Never heard of that. Who used middle schoolers on her island. Plus, Jem and Gemma had a talent to finish each other's sentences. Yeah, basically they talked at the same time, kind of like Fred and George Weasley, or Tomax and Xamot for my G.I. Joe fans out there. I really wanted to like these two. I honestly did. I thought they were so cool at first, and I really loved we got twin Power Rangers. They were cool, they were kick-ass, they were excellent fighters, I'll give them that. However, as it went on, it became clear that they were kind of eccentric weirdos. And yeah, basically we kind of got a regurgitation of Ziggy. They're the weird ones. They're always talking ceaselessly, always annoying the Rangers. They love fighting and blowing stuff up, and it made it very clear that they were not good at following orders. Sorry. So, in one episode, they actually defy Scott's leadership and go off to try and kill Tenaya, but Tenaya's 7 planned a trap, and they finally realize they should have thought things through. They're basically Leroy Jenkins, always going out, always trying to pick a fight, not thinking before shooting, and that got them into trouble. They almost get killed by the bad guys, but the Rangers save them, and they begin their slow process of becoming friends with the Rangers and listening to them more. So Goku and Monkey King sue Wukong the twins, kind of. Gem and Gemma are in Power Rangers Hyper Force. You mean Mega Force? So Wonder Twins of Power Rangers, RPM. Can you put Gem on C and not D? They should be together. And weren't we all weirdos when we were younger? Yeah, we were. Alright, so I'll put them up top. Okay, so I like Gemma more because, 1, she's pretty, and 2, she actually had a nice moment with Flynn. The one time she actually showed character outside of being around her twin, she kind of develops a crush on Flynn. She wanted to get to know him because she's friends with everyone else, but Flynn seems to keep to himself, and it's implied they were going to become a couple because she's clearly crushing on him, and at one point, Gem gets jealous that Flynn is spending so much time with his sister. You think that was going to amount to something, but no, it never does. And Gem and Gemma's most important part in the series finale comes later. In the final fight, they die. Gem and Gemma actually die, or I should say became a part of the morphing grid. Still don't know what that means, but yeah. Gem and Gemma died in the finale, and it's the main 5 who save the day. Eventually, Dr. Cat manages to save them. She is able to reverse their death somehow. Apparently they did not die. They were a part of Vengix's system, and she gives them life again, reboots the Silver and Gold Ranger, and they get to join in the final stand against Vengix. And at the end of the series, after they destroy Vengix by crashing the tower on him, they join up with Scott and join the military as co-commanders. Now they're getting paid to blow stuff up, which, fair enough, it is a nice ending to them, but didn't really make me like them a whole lot more. Gem and Gemma just kind of had a severe lack of focus and personality, and not my favorite 6th Rangers or 6th and 7th Rangers. They could have used a lot more. They had nice moments with Dr. K and Flynn. Unfortunately, they don't amount to anything huge. So, Afterlife of Power Rangers, yeah, that's what they call it. They became one with the morphing grid or something. Least favorite Yellow Ranger. For every Maya, there's always an opposite end of the spectrum. Least favorite Yellow. Probably Dustin from Ninja Storm, but one I also don't like, I'm not a huge fan of Taylor from Wild Force. I know my friend Emily loves Taylor, but I was not too keen on her. She had some interesting stuff going on, but she fell by the wayside compared to the other 4. Gem is a Falcon Ranger. Gemma is a White Tiger Ranger. Yeah, they brought them back. So, Afterlife of the Rangers. No! It's okay, Bat-Kid. I understood about Gemma. I had a crush on her on the show. In fact, originally Kay was my crush until Gemma became my new crush. Well, kick-ass Asian girl with warrior skills, that drew me into Vipra a lot more, so I see your point, Anime Night. I actually liked Gemma. She was pretty at least, and she did have more character than Gem, and they brought them back on a future Power Rangers show. Yeah, I don't remember. Was it like Mega Force or Samurai or something? Gem and Gemma came back, and they gave Gemma a lot more character in that. I haven't watched it. I only read it on the Power Rangers Wikipedia and seen all the fan forums, but really wanted to like them, but they just kind of fell short, and it doesn't help that the other characters had grander story arcs. Like Vestige from My Hero Academia version and Power Rangers, where dead Rangers become a part of the grid. Yeah, even Zordon was a part of the grid. If anything, Gem and Gemma were like Bulk and Skull of this series. I kind of thought they were trying to make Crunch and Shifter villainous Bulk and Skull. So, like the Force or Speed Force, yeah, kind of Bat-Kid Shinobi. The Power Rangers have their own afterlife in heaven, at least in later shows. And if you become a Morphin Master, that's kind of their Power Ranger Jesus. Like RPM Rangers never team up with Beast Morphers. Yeah, that pissed me off. You think they would have done it, but no, they had Dr. K appear in the show later, and none of the other Rangers, not even her husband Ziggy, appeared. Also, I realized that their names are based on Gemini, which is a symbol for twins. Exactly. Yeah, I almost thought they were a couple because Jem got jealous that his sister was hitting on Flynn, basically, and Flynn wanted to invite Gemma to hang out, but no, brother got in the way and cock-blocked him. Then they never hooked up. Gemma probably would have made it higher if she and Flynn did hook up, but unfortunately they don't, and not the worst 6th and 7th Rangers we ever had, but also nothing to go home writing about. Why Bulk and Skull never show up in RPM? Maybe they were dead. I know that's kind of dark to think about, but they could have gotten killed by the Venjix virus. It's because we could have had Gemma have a character outside her twin if she ended up with Flynn. Yeah, that's what I meant. Really wish they did. Alright, I'm back. Let's see. Shifter and Crunch and F. Yeah, they suck. Ziggy and C. Yeah, he's a mixed bag. Many of the minor characters in C as well makes sense. Yeah, most of them are going to be in here. We're wrapping up Gem and Gemma right now, Shadow Link, and honestly, I also have mixed feelings on them. I initially liked them, but their shoot first and ask questions later mentality really got annoying and kind of shocked that they were willing to kill a bunch of slaves being trapped in Vengeance's death camp. That did not make them look good. Where would Dr. K rank on an overall mentor list? Dr. K is a pretty cool mentor. If I did a list of the Ranger mentors, she might be an A or B. Once again, not one of my favorite mentors, but she definitely grew on you. Gem and C makes sense, not bad, but they could have been better characters. Yeah, fully agree. I wish they got more. Gemma almost got more. She had like a romance with Flynn, but it went nowhere because they wanted Ziggy and Dr. K to end up together, and the love triangle between Scott, Summer, and Dylan. Speaking of which, we still have Summer and Dylan and General Killer Bite down here. Ooh, got a lot of good characters. Like Summer and Dylan of the Ranger Operators. Yeah, Dr. K married Ziggy. Okay, Bat-Kid, if you don't know, Dr. K and Ziggy got hooked up in the show, and in real life, apparently Ziggy and Dr. K's actors actually did hook up. They, like, met and fell in love on the show, working together, and they actually did marry. I thought someone said they got divorced, but don't quote me on that. So, Dr. K and Ziggy, the characters and the actors both hooked up. They got married. Dr. K mentioned Ziggy and Beast Morphers, but I never got why Ziggy couldn't show up on that show, considering how awesome he was. She reminds me of Edna Mode if she was a teenager. Yeah. What is with fans wanting Power Rangers to be couple up? Oh, we never got a kiss scene on Power Rangers, I'm sure, too. Really wanted Jen and Wes to kiss, and Dylan and Summer almost kissed in a truly heartwarming romantic moment, but no, Ziggy came and ruined everything because he sucks. Yeah, many Rangers actors got together in real life. Yeah, I'm still surprised Damon and Trakina actually hooked up. That shocked me. Dr. K and Ziggy also hooked up on the show. It's kind of sweet how a lot of the Ranger actors actually met and hooked up with people on the shows. Okay, anyways, gotta get back to our tier list. I hope they didn't divorce. Yeah, me too, because they seem like they actually liked each other. So, if you don't know, Dr. K showed up on Beast Morphers, and Gem and Gemma apparently came back, I think on Megaforce or Samurai, and Gemma got a lot more character, but her brother apparently didn't, which is kind of weird. Not surprising, considering that we were going through the girl boss phase in that time, but was really shocked Gem and Gemma even came back. I'm not sure which show it was on, but because I haven't watched any show beyond SPD until this one. Alright, but let's carry on with this list. Okay, so got a lot of good characters, honestly. I think we should do our last villain, General Killer Bite, who's Going on to S tier. Where the heck was this guy? Because RPM was holding out on us. General Killerbite quickly proved to be one of the best villains on the show. Yep, we have our Starscream of the show, General Killerbite. Killerbite was once Venjix's greatest enforcer, his right-hand man. However, during the war, Killerbite allegedly everyone believed he fell in battle. He disappeared, he vanished, and we never see him. Instead, we're stuck with stupid Crunch and Shifter all season. Then, close to the end of the series, General Killerbite reveals that he's alive and walked 1,000 miles across the globe to get back to his Lord and Master Venjix. And General Killerbite, he is honestly awesome. This guy is like the Deviant and Darkonda of this show. He is that villain. He raised the stakes. He's dead serious. And I loved his rivalry with Tenaya 7. So General Killerbite comes in and initially gets like a whole ton of privilege and praise. Venjix shows him a lot more love and respect than he does Tenaya 7 initially, because General Killerbite was badass, he got stuff done, he was in charge of the hybrid program, so that's what kind of made him the show's Darkonda, because he knows Tenaya 7's origin and knows that she was once a human. He helped abduct her and implant cybernetics on her, just like Darkonda did. Killerbite was way better than Shifter and Crunch, definitely made a great impression in the last third of the series. Yeah, that's the one downside. It takes forever for this guy to show up. RPM was holding out on us because I would say this guy is definitely the new generation's Deviant or Darkonda. He's very creepy, cold, calculating, has this flamboyant, scary Nazi German voice. Killerbite is basically a robot knight, and a very creepy and effective one. He's actually a threat towards the Rangers, he cooks up great schemes, and initially, he's a Starscream character, but he has it out for Tenaya 7 more than he has it out for Venjix. He was initially Venjix's favorite, but Tenaya 7 kind of competes with him, and they have kind of a Starscream and Shockwave dynamic where one's clearly more loyal and more threatening, and one's more treacherous and backstabby. He's definitely the Starscream to Tenaya 7's Shockwave. Also, you forgot Mason Truman was in Beast Morphers in episode 1. Okay, he was. I have not watched Beast Morphers. I only saw all the clips where Evox was Venjix all along, which, yeah, still a weird twist to this very day. The one thing about those two is how when Kay saw them again, she was happy and crying at the same time. Yeah, that was a pretty sweet moment, so they got some points, definitely not F tier. As long as it doesn't take away from the plot, romance is fine as long as it makes sense and not for contrived and out of nowhere. Like he's played by Leighton Cardno. Yeah, Killerbite was way better than Shifter and Crunch. Are all of the season's villains technology puns? Yes, they are, Batkid Shinobi. All the Ranger villains in this season, they're robots and usually a pun on something mechanical. Except for Venjix, he's just a virus. He's a Japanese named Cleaning Minister. Whereas the design, yeah, the designs were different. Killerbite had a much different personality compared to his Sentai counterpart. And he also had a crush on Tenaya 7's counterpart, which is very funny, seeing how in this show he hates her. So, Killerbite, very effective as a villain, very threatening. He cooks up good plans, nearly kills the Rangers, and hilariously kind of has it out for Tenaya. He acts like a sexist douche to her because she's a girl machine. Girls suck. Girls aren't good at anything, and kind of acts like a sexist troll towards her. It's actually kind of funny, also kind of confusing. Do machines even have gender? I mean, I know Tenaya 7's definitely all woman, believe me, but what's the difference between a male machine and a girl machine? They need to make Power Rangers a vampire group. I see no minor robots here, but they would be around B through D tiers, and since some were more effective than others, the one robot that would have made F tier was easily that straw robot, the one with the drinking straws and the chemicals. That thing was weird and was very annoying with its sucking sounds, though. So anyways, In the finale, Killer Bite finally reveals his true colors, that he is definitely the Starscream of the RPM villains. Venjix makes it clear that he doesn't have any respect for Kilobyte anymore, and tasks Tenaya 7 with assassinating him. However, Kilobyte catched on, he eavesdropped, and preemptive strikes Tenaya 7. He completely betrays her, and they have a final fight in the warehouse over Dr. K and Ziggy being held hostage. Kilobyte reveals the truth, that he was the one who captured her and programmed her into a machine. They have a deadly fight until Dylan comes in and saves them, and he finally frees Tenaya 7 from her mind control, and the Rangers at long last finally kill Kilobyte. The Rangers come in to back up Dylan, showing that they're true friends, and they shoot him with that weird race car shooting toy gun. That's very funny. Yeah, the Rangers have like this super combiner gun, which looks like one of those Hot Wheels race car toys where they shoot toy cars at the villains to death. Very funny. They shoot Kilobyte and he dies, which kind of weird because he turned into a giant monster earlier but didn't die from that. Blame the Sentai footage for that, but yeah, he turned into a giant monster, lost, tried to kill the siblings Tenaya 7 and Dylan, then the Rangers finally finished him for good in one of the most satisfying death scenes ever. So, if there's one thing I would change about Kilobyte, I wish their final fight happened on the tower. Like, it would have made more sense to have Kilobyte and the siblings fighting up in the tower before it crashes, instead of General Crunch, because Crunch didn't do anything, and was such a pathetic final boss. But yeah, I kind of wish they kind of combined those fights, but whatever, it's still pretty cool. I thought Kilobyte was pretty awesome. This guy really should have been there from episode 1, instead of stupid Shifter and Crunch. Speaking of sexist words, how is it if a woman said something about a guy, it's not sexist? Yeah, those are called double standards, Anime Night. It is bull for a woman to be sexist and not be seen as such. Like why American version of Power Rangers changed the villain personalities. I think they wanted to toy around with stuff in their version, like experiment with different styles and different character types and relations. Sorry, just catching up on chat. Okay, read that one. Well, I guess it depends on the program design and the voice. Okay, for their genders. I'm thinking it was the Oilbot, Kilobyte. The machines always wins. Well, try out this machine. Yeah, that was badass. One of the most satisfying villain defeats ever. I'm putting Kilobyte on S tier. This guy should have been here from the start, but they saved the best for last. Yeah, awesome villain death, awesome threat. Definitely a new generation's Deviant and Darkonda. He was pretty cool, and I loved his petty rivalry with Tenaya 7. Alright, so, got our last two Rangers, and don't worry, they're both pretty good. So, I guess we should start with... who to do? Dylan or Summer? We'll do Summer first. Alright, our one main girl ranger until Gemma shows up. Summer might actually go on to S tier. Yeah, I do like her more than Jack, but Tenaya 7's way hotter. Alright, this is Summer, the Yellow Ranger. She's initially the only girl on the Ranger team until Gemma shows up. Summer doesn't get too much focus, but she's pretty much the nice girl. She's the girl next door. She's the Jean Grey to Scott's Cyclops and Dylan's Wolverine. She's the heart of the team, and her focus episode is easily one of the best in the series. The Yellow Ranger actually got a two-parter where we see her origin, and in a surprisingly shocking surprise, Summer was actually a bitch. She was like a spoiled brat. She was vain. She was petty. She was obnoxious. She was that popular girl in school. Summer used to be a obnoxiously annoying rich girl. She was spoiled all her life. She treated her butler Andrews like crap. She surrounded herself by other bitchy bimbo friends who didn't really like her for her. Then, when the apocalypse hit, Summer completely changed her attitude. What about if they take away the Wi-Fi? Then how will the machines win? Well, Venjix is that OP. Also, the Japanese named engine Sentai Go Anger. She's a yellow bear ranger. So like Chloe, but with a better arc. Yeah, basically, Summer used to be like Chloe Bourgeois, but actually got redeemed. Summer was a total brat, and when the apocalypse happened, her whole life like literally crumbled around her. Her parents were never there, so when she was at her most scared and frightened, they didn't show up to save her. She was separated from her friends. Her friends turned out to be total backstabbing bitches. They took the last seats in a refugee truck, and one of them actively pushed Summer out of the van because it reached max capacity. Summer was totally left for dead. She lost everything, lost her mansion, lost her money, was completely ditched by everyone from the upper crust in her circle, and the only person who came back to save her was her butler, Andrews. Andrews was a cool guy. He was the Alfred to her Bruce Wayne. He was a loyal butler who cared for her and acted more like her real parent. He stole like a U-Haul van and saved her, and finally, she kind of grows up. She opens her eyes, realizes that Andrews is her real family, actually regrets her past ways. I loved Rose Summer in the Christmas Prince movies. Yeah, I heard Summer also played Tinkerbell in Once Upon a Time. And Red Ranger, Eagle Ranger. Remember when she was a spoiled brat? I remember how she used her butler as a table and she gave herself a pedicure, and as a mule when they head to the dome. Yeah, she was really mean. It is kind of shocking seeing how different Summer was before the apocalypse happened. Like, this is how you make a better blonde brat redeemed than Chloe from Miraculous, all because she becomes evil mayor of Paris when she was younger to be mayor. I guess the invasion gave a reality check to her. Gave her the arc that Chloe should have had, but I think she lost her Alfred, the butler who took her in. Yeah, Andrews should have survived. In a truly heartwarming scene, Andrews reveals that he stuck around to see the kind of person Summer really was. Like, who she was deep down. Who'd she grow up to become? He stuck around just to watch her and raise her right, and Andrews tragically dies, sacrificing himself to protect Summer. This completely changes Summer entirely. Summer loses the only person who she ever loved, her one true family. Andrews dies in a rare human death in Power Rangers. He got killed by the grinder machines. Summer managed to make it to the safe zone. However, she goes back out to save Scott. Her parents try to convince her not to go, but Summer goes anyway. And her origin episode is the only one that actually gave her a lot of focus, but it was definitely a lot and a lot of great character building. Yeah, absolutely love Summer's character change. Does have some good moments with Dylan as well. Yeah. Summer's wedding episode. Summer looks pretty hot in a wedding dress. Positively radiant. Yeah, she is very radiant in that wedding dress. And, of course, Summer having a sexy cat fight with Tenaya 7. Let's see, hot girl wearing a sexy wedding dress versus a woman in tight leather. It was definitely peak TV. Yeah, I loved her fight at the wedding. She's fighting Tenaya 7, having sexy girl fights. Really wish Summer and Tenaya's female rivalry got more exploration, but tragically, no, that's kind of dropped when she is revealed as the sister. Summer manages to basically stand up to her parents, reveals that she doesn't want to marry this douche named Chaz. She saves the diamond, gives it to the military, defeats Tenaya 7, and reveals that she wants to be a ranger. She finally stands up to her parents, is taking control of her own life, and is completely done trying to impress them because everything she ever did in life was for her parents, and they were never there for her. And the parents have their rather abrupt anticlimactic heel turn where they finally accept her for who she is and they go off to live their own life while she lives hers. Then Summer is kind of the center of the love triangle. Yeah, RPM doesn't hold back on the dark moments, especially the deaths. Yeah, that's what made it so good. I haven't seen a death so tragic since the Magna Defender lost his son. Rose McClever she was Daphne / Xena in Xena Warrior Princess and Eve in Access Codes. Who is this Chloe everyone talks about? Please tell me. Anime Night, we're talking about Chloe Bourgeois. She's the idiot bully from Miraculous Ladybug, the Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir cartoon. It's a cartoon that used to be on Nick, now on Netflix. Basically a superhero show where Chloe is the popular alpha bitch who's always mean to the main hero. Yeah, Andrew should have survived. Yeah, Summer got a lot of character development in her origin alone. I really wish we got more exploration of the Rangers because their origins, all of them were pretty good, even Ziggy's, where we see the Rangers were vastly different people before becoming the badass heroes we know, and Summer had the most change. Basically, from spoiled brat to noble hero. I do love one of the kids asked if the Yellow Ranger would marry him. That's me asking Maya out for sure. But yeah, Summer is basically the center of the love triangle. She's in between Scott, who's the nice guy, the reliable one, but brooding bad boy Dylan, who she thinks she can save and change, and that kind of becomes her character arc for the remainder of the series. She's backing Dylan up, showing that she does care for him, helping him save his sister Tenaya 7. They go on a lot of missions together. Mostly it revolves around Dylan and the foreshadowing that Tenaya 7's the sister, but they had nice romantic chemistry, honestly. Summer's kind of like the Yellow Ranger from Beast Morphers. Is she? I would have thought she was more like... I'm trying to remember. I would say like more like Wes, but if Wes was more dickish and more privileged. You forget Miraculous is in Disney Channel. Oh, that's right, it moved there. I forgot it channel hopped multiple times, okay? I'm guessing because the X-Men movies were popular at the time. Yeah, they definitely were, because Dylan is pretty much Wolverine and whoever Sam Witwer's character from Terminator Salvation was. Yeah, Summer, definitely a great Yellow Ranger. She actually did make it on my top 6 hottest Power Ranger babes for sure, because she looked pretty good in that wedding dress, not gonna lie, and loved her sexy cat fights with Tenaya 7. I regret not watching the show all the way through, because Tenaya 7 would have been up there too. That's his sister? Yeah, Tenaya 7 is Dylan's sister. Summer is his girlfriend. If there was another female Rangers in RPM, what her name would be, her Ranger color, and her character traits? Well, I think we need a pink Ranger in RPM. Gemma was another girl Ranger, but she was the first girl Silver Ranger. I would think we get a pink Ranger in there if we did get another female. Probably could have had, like, the first black girl as a pink Ranger, but whatever. Yeah, Summer really liked her. She's a supportive girlfriend. At the end of the series, she doesn't get as much. It's mostly Ziggy, Dr. K, Tenaya 7, and Dylan as the main characters in that. She's, of course, standing by her friends, fighting Venjix, and at the end of the series, she finally hooks up with Dylan. They go on a road trip together to help explore and rebuild the world after Venjix is gone, and they have that nice romantic scene where they look at all the sunflowers that Dylan basically planted since the start. Yeah, Dylan, you lucky bastard, got Tenaya 7 and Summer together on a road trip. Two sexy ladies. So, Wes's descendant, jerk type. That would have been interesting if she was related to Wes, but not very. But Summer, pretty cool character. She is an underrated Yellow Ranger. I will put her on S tier because she's cool. Alright, gonna use my last restroom break, but get excited because we're gonna finish this with Dylan. BRB. Alright, Cat's back. If you have any questions you want to ask before the stream ends, start asking now. I nominate Dr. K as a Pink Ranger. Yeah, that would have been pretty cool. Yeah, I mean his descendant from Time Force. I got what you meant, Bat Kid Shinobi, but Wes's last name is Collins. Summer is Lansdowne. I guess if Wes had a daughter, she could have married some Lansdowne guy, but yeah, they don't have the same last names, which is the only reason why. Like season 6 is going to have the lamest cyberbully episode, and don't make sense, like why bully Marinette like she has no social media like the show have Alia who has social media. Yeah, that would make more sense because Alia has a website, but Miraculous has gotten really stupid, alright? Alright, let's finally end on the positive note of all positive notes. Dylan, the Black Ranger. Dylan, yeah, of course he's going on to S. We'll put him under Tenaya 7 because Tenaya was just hotter. This is Dylan, technically the real protagonist of RPM. Dylan is kind of the Wolverine. He's the bad boy. He's on his own. He has no memories. He has amnesia. He completely forgot his past. He's a lone wolf on the road, desperately trying to find himself until accidentally getting roped into these Power Ranger antics. Yep, as usual, let's end things on a high note. Dylan's quite possibly one of the best Black Rangers in the Power Rangers. Yeah, fully agree. The Black Ranger got a lot of focus. Kind of like how Time Force gave the Pink Ranger more focus, RPM gave the Black Ranger a lot of focus. And understandably so, because the Black Ranger, pretty badass. He is awesome. Again, I think he's kind of based on Wolverine, alongside Sam Witwer's character from Terminator Salvation. We find out he was actually a test subject under Venjix. He's a cyborg. His insides have cybernetic implants, cybernetic arms, and skeletons. He was a test subject being created by Venjix for his Manchurian agents he's planning in the city. Also, he is a Black Wolf Rangers. Okay, that is a wolf. Who university student in Superman Returns? Yeah, Dylan D44. Sounds like Astruc is projecting his delusions because he can't take constructive criticisms. That is exactly it, Batkid. Anyways, Dylan, of course, he's awesome. He's really kick-ass. He's the Wolverine to the Red Ranger Cyclops and Summer's Jean Grey. They get into a love triangle because, of course, Summer's attracted to this mysterious bad boy rebel without a cause. Dylan is very capable of fighting. Thanks to his cybernetic implants, he can kick ass, he can take a hit, he can be a Power Ranger, and he's the perfect candidate to become the new Black Ranger. The Rangers need to build up their forces to fight Venjix, and they recruit him after he's like locked up in prison, proves himself by beating up the Chinese triad prisoners there to protect Ziggy, and he is also total bro because he forms this broship with Ziggy. He manages to convince the Rangers to give him and Ziggy a pardon, where he joins them as the Black Ranger. And we find out what his deal is, what his story is. He was a former test subject, and he was trapped with someone he cared for, his sister. He's trying to find his sister and regain his memories. He finds out that he was a cybernetic soldier created by Venjix. He and his family were taken by him. He and his sister tried to escape the facility. However, the sister got separated from them, and he's trying to figure out the quote-unquote mystery of where his sister is. And as you can guess, his sister is Tenaya 7. It is kind of painfully obvious that that is the twist, because they did this on In Space. However, it worked better there because Astronema and Andros do not look anything alike. Here, Tenaya 7 and Dylan look very much like they could be siblings, and considering that she's the only humanoid among a machine empire, it is glaringly obvious. RPM, what did I miss? Mostly everything. We're wrapping up with the Black Ranger Dylan right now, which is good because he's the main protagonist. Like, people want to see Eren Yeager versus Dylan in Death Battle. I know I missed most of the In Space tier list, but I remember how in the Japanese version, both Princess of the Machine Empire were actually the same character instead of being brothers. Like, he's Cat Noir done right. I would say he's more like Wolverine, but yeah. And why is he better than Mac from Operation Overdrive? Because Operation Overdrive had the worst Power Rangers ever. He have invincibility shield. Yeah, that's his power. He has like this force field shield. Hey, Cat, what did I miss, buddy? We're concluding with Dylan, the main character, James Loveland. We talked about everyone else. You are kind of late to the party, but it's a short list, so don't feel too hurt. I never understood why some girls dig the bad boy type, especially when they don't make an effort to change. Yeah, well, the difference is Dylan actually does want to become better. He actually has a good heart. Women are drawn to bad boys because they want to save them. I can change him. I'm a light in his dark world. That kind of thing. They think that their love can redeem them, but that is total bullcrap, because why would you want to change them into someone you were never attracted to in the first place? Like, women just dig danger. They like the rough and tough masculine men. However, bad boys are usually masculine and tough, so that's why girls tend to fall for them easier. Yeah, personally, I would avoid dating bad boys and bad girls in real life because they have serious issues that your love cannot fix. Well, a temporary invincibility shield. Their abilities are limited. Yeah, he has that force field shield, and he didn't get it working until Dr. K shot at him with her fridge cannons. Engine Sentai Go Ranger. Like why the toy line looked better than the TV show? Because in a toy you can glam people up. His Japanese counterpart is Gunpei Ishihara. I'm getting Vampire Knight spoilers flashbacks I never made in the past. No, don't know what that is. I get triggered whenever Operation Overdrive is mentioned. It's so bad. It's so bad. Well, Shadowlink, here's a funny scene. When the villains are exploring ancient ruins, I love Crunch picks up the Operation Overdrive Red Ranger's helmet, and Tenaya smacks it out of his hands, and they throw the Ranger helmet into the garbage heap. Yeah, they find the Operation Overdrive Red Ranger helmet, and he's saying, maybe I can be a Power Ranger. And Tenaya's like, I told you not to touch any junk. And she slaps the Red Ranger Overdrive helmet into the trash heap. If that wasn't a middle finger to Overdrive, I don't know what is. Like Kagami Love with Argus. And Sakura with Sasuke. Yeah, except Dylan actually has a heart. Like we get Power Rangers, Loki, and Thor. Well, before Marvel exists. Anyways, Dylan is an awesome protagonist. He undergoes the most change. He's rough and tough and doesn't get along with the other Rangers at first. He's a total lone wolf, but slowly but surely forms a kinship with all these Rangers. He and Scott become total bros. He actually has a nice relationship with Ziggy because they're both the outcast troublemakers. He and Ziggy become total best friends. He falls in love with Summer. He gets along with Flynn. They both bond over cars, so that's kind of a key thing. And he sort of becomes a mentor towards Jem and Gemma. And Dr. K initially doesn't like him. However, he's the one who convinces Dr. K to reveal herself and step out of her safety bubble. So clearly he did have an impact on her just as much as she did have on him. Dylan basically becomes nicer, becomes a noble hero. He has a good side to him, and they help him forge himself into a better, more noble hero. He goes from a bad boy into kind of a caring anti-hero at best. He gets, redeemed by the Rangers' friendship, and finally saves his sister, Tenaya 7. He spends the entire series trying to find his sister, finds out his sister was the evil villain they've been fighting all along, and, against all odds, manages to fight back against Venjix's virus and cure himself and his sister, and they kill General Kilobyte together, and I guess technically Captain Crunch. Carter Grayson is still the best Red Ranger ever. Lightspeed Rescue. Fully agree, Carter Grayson's definitely up there. So, this show actually did the impossible. They made the Black Ranger one of the best characters in the series. Now, no disrespect to Johnny Young Bosch or Carlos, but Dylan got a lot of focus, a lot of story arc, a lot of character development, and funny moments, and even heartwarming scenes with his Rangers. It's basically Dylan's hero's journey. He goes from an outcast, a lone wolf, into a team player and a badass hero. We see he waters this sunflower that's like out in the middle of nowhere, and by the end of the series, he gets the bookends where he shows that his sunflower has grown into a forest as a symbolic metaphor that life is growing back on Earth after Venjix fell. Oh, and he also gets to go on a road trip with two sexy ladies, Summer and Tanaya. You lucky bastard. But yeah, I do like Dylan. He's funny, he's cool, he's badass. He gets the most character depth of all the Rangers, so of course he had that edge over everyone. He's kind of what Cole Evans should have been. Basically the lone wolf becoming a true team player and the ultimate hero he was meant to be. I once heard of a woman who fell for a man who was rough, rude, and looked like a criminal. And what funny is that she was known to have to think most males are rude and disrespectful. Well, self-fulfilling prophecy. Sasuke did eventually change, though. It should have happened way earlier, despite it being obvious he likes her, but the story needed more drama. Yeah, that's kind of why Sasuke and Sakura's relationship is very hated. Because it felt like he wasn't changing, it happened too slowly. You think the MCU teenage actor played the new Disney Plus Power Rangers? Don't know who you're talking about. What about Walter Jones? He was the best Black Ranger and he was the first. I thought that was Zack. Wasn't Zack the first Black Ranger? Or are you talking about Zack's actor, Walter Jones? Hey Kat, can I help on the next Power Rangers tier list? I've got a lot to say about Power Rangers. Maybe Mighty Morphin or Zeo, but those are going to take me a long time to sit through. Right now I'm doing RPM. I've been doing a lot of the shorter shows just because I wanted to have more of these lists. I wouldn't call Tanaya, if that was her name, spelled hot. Maybe lukewarm. Oh, what anime night? Look at her. Look at that body. She's pretty much the Baroness and the TX from Rise of the Machines combined. So that's pretty much my turn on. Like, what's the Power Rangers tier list we got that you watch? Oh, Walter was his real name. Okay, thank you, Anime Night. Hell yes. Anyways, Dylan, classic hero's journey, classic rise from rags to riches, from a complete nobody, a lone wolf, into a total team player and one of the best Rangers ever. He helped destroy the Venjix Tower and crash it onto the evil AI. He gets a lot of credit. He and Tanaya 7 eventually destroy Venjix's systems and kill him for good, until our twist where Venjix was alive and somehow became Evox. Disagree, wrong, anime. Tanaya is absolutely hot. Yeah, Shadowlink knows what's up. I look at that body, and again, lukewarm. Gemma was hot. Well, you haven't seen her from the other side. Tanaya gets a lot of butt shots. I know they're technically of her walking and running away, but Adelaide's butt looks really nice. At least it's not as mediocre as Jungle Fury. Yeah, probably not gonna do Jungle Fury. And we already did In Space and Turbo tier list. Yeah, technically all the Turbo cast is on there. Turbo sucks, and if we had Demetria, she would have been F2. They should make all the Rangers equal protagonists, but make the story balanced. Yeah, sorry, Bat Kid, but that's kind of something they struggled with. Some characters get more focus than the others. Some Rangers are just too out of focus. They try balancing all five, and on some shows it works, but on others, there's always a neglected Ranger here and there. Like we have done a Power Rangers tier list. I just saw it, and I hate to admit she does look hot. Yeah, you saw Tanaya 7. She is pretty hot. She would have been on my top 6 if I watched the show, but tragically I never saw RPM before doing that list. But hey, at least Venjix might be on my top 10 scariest Power Ranger villains list. Tanaya 7, really liked her. She would have been on there. If I made a full top 10, she would have been 7, 8, or 9. In around there. 7 just because of the pun, but I like Kendrix a lot more. Anyways, Dylan, he's also pretty much the Mr. Fan Service. All the women Power Ranger fans, all the girls out there really loved him because he's such a lovable bad boy. All the girls want to save him and change him. And he's also played by a male model, hence why Dylan got a lot more shirtless scenes than the other guys. Evox sounds like a villain of the week, not the main villain. Yeah, so I brought it up earlier, but a lot of commenters keep pointing it out. Vengix technically comes back as the villain Evox and Beast Morphers. I have not watched Beast Morphers, and all my friends have told me it was bad, but Vengix survived, and he transformed into the new villain Evox on a show that came out 8 years later, as if anybody would remember RPM by then. Why we have butt shots of Tenaya, like hot but weird? Well, it's the suit. She gets like a lot of butt shots because she's always walking and she's wearing like tight hot leather like the Baroness or Catwoman, and yeah, Adelaide's figure really stuck out in our minds. Yeah, she looked really good. Like we need Power Rangers Minions tier list. Might do that. People want the mentors too. You should do Ninja Storm or Samurai. I do not want to watch Samurai. I heard it was bad. All the Ranger fans say it was bad. Linkara even confessed it had a lot more weaknesses than praises. And I watched one episode of the show and I did not get into it. I don't want to try Samurai. Dino Charge and Ninja Steel was good. I heard the opposite about Ninja Steel. I also heard that one was pretty bad. I know Ninja Storm has fans. Ninja Steel and Super Ninja Steel, I heard some people didn't like that. The one thing I heard about the actors who played the male Rangers is that most female fans want their babies. Well, of course, like, boys had a lot of girl crushes on the Power Rangers show, but girls also had hot guys. This is why Power Rangers had an even balance of fan service. We had the hot chicks, we had Tenaya 7, Summer, Vipra, Trakina, Maya, even Cassie and Ashley. Girls definitely had their hot guys. They have Dylan, they have Tommy Oliver, they have Carter Grayson. A lot of girls also crushed hard on Wes and Eric from Time Force. Yeah, Samurai sucks. Okay, thank you, Shadowlink. I will avoid that one like the plague along with Megaforce. I wanted to catch up on Power Rangers, but Netflix took away 99% of the shows. Well, good news, Bat Kid Shinobi. Power Rangers is on YouTube. At least the Saban and Disney era shows are. I'm not sure if the Nickelodeon ones made it on, but I've seen Mighty Morphin up to RPM. They're all on YouTube. Power Rangers Official, that's the channel. Check it out. They've been posting all the classic episodes because I can only assume they lost the copyright contracts with those. I mean, it has been like 20 years since we've seen Mighty Morphin and In Space, so yeah. Ironically, the Red Megaforce Ranger was also a model from what I remember, but his acting was not great. Yeah, you're talking about Troy. Troy is one of the worst Rangers, alongside Justin. Like, still don't like Justin. No, the fact that his actor was cool at cons did not make me like this character. Cole from Wild Force came back as a different character, the main villain of Samurai. Yeah, I did hear that. People thought he was going to be Cole Evans again, but no, he wasn't. Like, we only have Lauren and Amelia, the only red female Rangers. Well, technically we had Charlie from the A Squad on SPD, but she was an evil villain. Why, Netflix? Why? Can you do a tier list of the side characters of Power Rangers, like Bulk, Skull, Fran, and Victor? Well, sorry, that's kind of the thing, Anime Night. I don't think people care about the side characters. Like, they want to talk about the Rangers and their badass villains. Those are the characters people actually care about. Like, I know people love Bulk and Skull, but there's not a whole ton of other interesting characters that I can really address, and I don't think people care about. Yeah, Bulk came back on Samurai too, probably for more ratings. Yeah, that was kind of the problem with the Nickelodeon shows. They keep bringing back Mighty Morphin characters and the Mighty Morphin style, but don't understand why it doesn't work. It's like, Mighty Morphin is a total 90s show. It was campy, it was goofy, it was fun, and people actually related with it because that's what life was kind of like back then. They're trying to capture Mighty Morphin's flair and style in the current stuff, and it's just not working. I thought the Power Ranger shows, which did their own thing, were way better. Like, that's what made Lost Galaxy, Lightspeed Rescue, Time Force. Wild Force and especially Dino Thunder good. They tried to be their own thing, and because we keep trying to go back to the roots of Mighty Morphin, it's taking away the original fun of Power Rangers. Yeah, Samurai brought back Bulk, but brought his friend Skull's nephew, Spike. Yeah, so we had Bulk and Skull in spirit. I like Justin Stewart because he's my age, so he was a character I could relate to. Ah, you fell for the trap then, Cammy. Also, see, Morphin Masters are the main source and mentors of the creators of the morphing grid that exist in the comics. Yeah, they eventually made that canon, and apparently Zordon's somehow alive in Power Ranger Heaven. And he brought Kendrix back to explain that plot hole from a show that was 20 years ago. Like, why Skull gets Spike? Like, who is his wife? Yeah, who would marry Skull? It would be hilarious if he married Trini. Trini married Skull and they had a kid together. I remember hearing about A-Squad of SBD was the first Rangers to become villains by themselves, but Victor was also funny as he had lackeys who follow him wherever he goes. Once and Always was a tribute to Trini and Tommy's actors, and it was good. Yeah, that's what I've heard. I haven't watched it yet because I've only recently been getting back into Power Rangers. Yeah, I ship it. Trini and Skull hooked up. Alright, so, yeah, you get the idea. RPM, a lot more good than bad. The worst is definitely the C tier. We had just a few meh characters. Sorry, I don't like Ziggy, and I don't like Gem and Gemma all that much, but as you can tell, RPM was definitely a huge hit, and we had a lot of better characters than lamer. I love RPM. I am gladly going to eat my words. SPD was not the last good Ranger show. RPM was. I see what the fans love about it. I do agree. It is definitely the last gold standard Ranger show. And probably not going to watch any of the Nickelodeon shows because they got worse and worse and worse. R.I.P. Jason David Frank and Thuy Trang. Yeah, I really liked those two. Like Victor and Monty's Chloe and Sabrina make versions. Surprised that there's no D ranks in this list. Well, Gem almost made D tier, but people convinced me that no, they should be put together. So yeah, Gem almost became D, but yeah, no D. Only C and up. We had a few Fs here and there, but a lot more good than bad. As you can see, that pretty much completes our tier list. We'll go over it one last time for any of you late birds just showing up. RPM is great, top 5 for me, definitely. Yeah, I can definitely understand that. This felt like the true final farewell to Power Rangers, and the Nickelodeon era never happened. Alright, so let's go over it. F tier, easily Summer's parents. They suck, they were the worst. And speaking of which, General Shitter and Captain Crunch, do not like them. They were god-awful. I was so glad General Killer Bite won me back over. These two machines were duds. None made it in D, surprisingly. Gem almost did, but you guys convinced me, so he made it up to C. So speaking of which, C tier, Gem and Gemma. Really wanted to like them. I like Gemma a little bit more, but their shoot first and ask questions mentality really got annoying, and the fact that they were the eccentric weirdos did not make me love them too much. I understand they're funny for kids, and yeah, it is ultimately at the end of the day a show for kids, but character-wise, definitely not my favorite 6th and 7th Ranger. Fresno Bob. Glad they had mobsters on Power Rangers. He wins points for that, but that's about it. Then Vasquez and Corporal Hicks. Yeah, I love the nods to aliens. It is a cute shout out. However, they barely did anything. I'm surprised they were even on this tier, but we'll put them on C. They were alright. Flynn's dad. Pretty bad father figure telling his son to never try and help people, but that heartwarming moment did win me over when the father and son finally get along. Still, he's only in one episode, so he's going on C. And Ziggy. Yeah, I know, Ziggy is a fan favorite for many, but to me he's still a mixed bag. I found him a lot more annoying than funny, but I will say he is much funnier than Bridge. Ziggy had a lot of nice moments, a lot of redeemable moments. He is a badass ranger, and I loved him and Dr. Cat when they Dr. K, when they hooked up together, but Ziggy, not one of my favorite rangers. He's going on to C. I refuse to watch Megaforce again. It'll be a cold day in hell before I do it again. Fully agree, James. Fully agree. And last Disney Power Ranger show. Yeah, last for Disney, not last for us, though. I wish they had more Forever episodes for the other Ranger colors, not just red. That would have been awesome if they did that. Yeah, I heard somebody wanted a Forever Blue episode, and we would get all the Blue Rangers together, but unfortunately some drama happened, and a few of the Blue Ranger actors have gotten into controversy. I won't go into full detail, but one of them had to do with grooming something that wasn't pets. Will you make a tier list of the deaths of Final Destination in May? Most likely, Anime Night, most likely. It's done. This is Golden Dragon Ranger Akira signing off. Bye, Akira. I mean, it could be worse. Power Rangers and TMNT could have had a crossover. Yeah, right. Like that'll ever happen, right? Nope, they were in space. You have to wait for Bloodlines to come out. Yeah, I pretty much should. Bloodlines, I want to see their death scenes. Anyways, B tier, we have Benny. Cool, bro, but that's about it. We have the first body of Venjix. Pretty generic design, honestly. It looked too much like a regular monster of the week. I liked his ultimate body way more. And we have Marcus, the cool bro, who was in one episode and his only purpose was to die. Anyways, A tier, the awesome ones. The Grinders. Pretty creepy having Terminators as henchmen, so they definitely won points for that. To the Grinders, pretty awesome, but Quantrons and Stingwingers are still top tier. We have the Colonel Truman. Pretty good father figure, also like Flynn's daddy, had a good moment with his son. Akira, we had to wait 14 years for the film. Yeah, the pretty cool dad, like the Captain Mitchell and Mr. Collins type of hybrid character he was, had heartwarming moments with Scott, and ultimately served his purpose as a cool authority figure. Dr. K, I know some people also might be pissed she's not on S tier. I found her funny and entertaining at times, loved her redemption arc, loved her chemistry with Ziggy, glad she became a true sister among the Rangers. However, not my favorite mentor, especially after last tier list we talked about Zordon, who is still S tier, but she's alright. She's gone on to A. And Flynn. Awesome Blue Ranger. I loved him. I'm Scottish. He's cool. He's kick-ass. He's lovable. He is a total badass. I only wish he got more focus. That is the only reason why he's not on S tier. He's just our neglected Ranger. But Flynn, I will still put on A because he is awesome. Then finally, top of the world, General Kilobyte. Awesome villain. He is the new generation's Deviant and Darkonda. Really scary, really cool, really badass. Loved his rivalry with Dylan and Tenaya 7. So he is one of the best villains on this show, and I wish we had more of him instead of Crunch and Shifter. Awesome Red Ranger, we have Scott. Scott's cool, he's likable, loved his story, wish he also got more focus, but he is definitely a worthy Red Ranger, and a huge atonement after how neglected SPD Red Jack was in the finale. Then, Summer, yeah, hot Yellow Ranger, she's kick-ass, she's badass, she's the heart of the team, and she surprisingly got a lot of deep character depth. Then Dylan, awesome protagonist. He made the Black Ranger cool again, and he was like the coolest Black Ranger we've had since Tommy Oliver. So yeah, awesome protagonist, awesome story, awesome moments. He is just plain awesome. Tenaya 7. Tragically, our last ever Power Rangers femme fatale, who is actually sexy. Yeah, she's hot, she's cool, she's kick-ass, she's mischievous, she's the baddie who gets stuff done. Love Tenaya 7 / Tenaya 15. She is the ultimate bad bitch, and I regret not having her on my hottest Ranger babes list, but hey, she would have been on there for sure. I definitely agree, Shadowling. Tenaya 7 should be Tenaya perfect 10 out of 10. And on top, we have Venjix. Both these guys are Venjix, okay? We have Venjix in his regular regular virus form, and we have his ultimate final form, Ultimate Venjix. Yeah, really underrated villain. I understand what fans love about him. He is the bad guy you love to hate. He's cold, calculating, creepy, and a lethal threat to everyone around him. Venjix, one of the few villains who actually succeeded at conquering the Earth and Power Rangers. You don't get any greater than that. Yes, unfortunate indeed. Ended the Femme Fatales on a high note. Yeah, I fully agree, Shadowlink. Sentai does crossovers better than modern Power Rangers specifically. Well, yeah, of course they do. The Sentai is much better than a lot of the current Ranger shows. Anyways, Venjix, he's going on number 1. I can see why people consider him top 5 best Power Ranger villains. We'll see where he ends up on my ultimate villain ranking, but for now, yeah, he is one of the best and scariest villains of RPM. You don't worry, fanboys, you win. Venjix is definitely well-tuned as a program. But yeah, that completes our tier list. Talked about them all. We'll see what we do next tier list, but I do have to catch up on Power Ranger stuff. Sorry, Mighty Morphin might take a long while because there's just so many episodes, man. It's gonna take me forever to watch Mighty Morphin. Bye, everyone. Bye, Cammy. But don't worry, guys. I'll set you free. Thank you for joining our stream. We'll see what we do next time, but we'll wrap things up. RPM is awesome. It got into gear. So, let's set you guys free. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, or just tune in for more videos or streams here on Wolf Entertainment. I'm your host, Catastrophe, and it's time to get in gear.